Chapter 151, Great Strength Vajra Pellet. 1. Of course, Yang Lei absolutely couldn't bear to use those high-grade items, such as the demonic cores of 8th-tier demonic beasts or 9th-tier saint beasts. If his alchemy technique were to advance further, perhaps he would, but for now, Yang Lei couldn't bear to waste them like that. After exchanging for the formula of this great strength Vajra pellet, only 500,000 accumulation points remained. Yang Lei had no intention of exchanging anything further with these remaining points, and naturally, he didn't continue browsing. After all, if he kept looking, Yang Lei worried he'd see something that would make his eyes red with desire, and he wouldn't be able to resist exchanging for it. Having already exchanged for the pill formula and the method for crafting talismans, it was time to refine some pills and craft a few talismans for self-defense. Should he refine pills or craft talismans? Yang Lei pondered, then decided to craft the invisibility talismans first. After all, the invisibility talisman's utility was greater than that of the great strength Vajra pellet. Talisman crafting technique. Yang Lei began crafting the first invisibility talisman. As soon as he activated the talisman crafting technique, Yang Lei's hands moved with great ease and naturalness. The method for crafting the talisman had long been etched deep into his mind, as if he had performed it hundreds, even thousands of times. Ding! Invisibility talisman crafting failed. Earth-tier talismans were indeed not so easy to craft. Yang Lei had already anticipated this, having mentally prepared for failure. One failure wasn't enough to deter him, naturally, he moved on to the second attempt. This invisibility talisman absolutely had to be crafted successfully. Talisman crafting technique. After the first failure, Yang Lei discarded the ruined talisman and immediately began crafting the second invisibility talisman. Ding! Invisibility talisman crafting failed. Another failure, but Yang Lei wasn't disheartened. He immediately began crafting the third talisman. Failed. Failed. Still failed. Finally, after 5 consecutive failures, the 6th attempt successfully produced an invisibility talisman. Ding! Congratulations, player, for successfully crafting an invisibility talisman. EXP plus 10 million, Qigong value plus 100,000, accumulation points plus 100,000. Proficiency increased. It was finally a case of bitterness giving way to sweetness. Exchanging for this invisibility talisman formula was truly worth it. A successful craft actually contributed 100,000 accumulation points. If he could successfully craft 5 invisibility talismans, his points would be recovered. That was a pretty good deal. Having succeeded once, Yang Lei naturally wouldn't stop there, he pressed on relentlessly. As Yang Lei continued crafting, successfully completing 3 invisibility talismans, the system issued a notification. Because the invisibility talisman was a special talisman, only 3 could be crafted per day. After 3, no more could be crafted. This condition left Yang Lei utterly speechless. Even talisman crafting had restrictions. But there was nothing he could do. Who told the system it was the greatest? He was just a minor character, unable to contend with the system, that mighty god. Since he couldn't craft any more talismans, he could still refine pills. Perhaps this great strength Vajra pellet wouldn't have so many restrictions? Yang Lei thought to himself. He first took out a 6th-tier demonic core, specifically, a long-armed demonic ape's core. Speaking of which, if these demonic cores were sold, they would truly amount to a considerable fortune. Alchemy technique. His alchemy technique had now reached the advanced level. Previously, he couldn't refine earth-tier pills, but today, his success rate had increased significantly. His true chi flowed in, continuously and without pause. 10 minutes later, the system's notification chimed. Ding! Congratulations, player, for successfully refining the great strength Vajra pellet. EXP plus 10 million, Qigong value plus 100,000, accumulation points plus 100,000. Proficiency increased. Succeeding on the very first attempt was somewhat unexpected for Yang Lei. It seemed the purple dragon cauldron's amplifying effect was quite good. This single batch of pills yielded a total of 13 great strength Vajra pellets, all of them earth-tier first grade, and naturally, they were 10 perfection pills, perfected pills. There was no doubt about that. He examined their attributes. Great strength Vajra pellet, earth-tier first grade pill, 10 perfection pill. Upon consumption, it amplifies one's combat power by 20-fold for half an hour. The medicinal effects cannot be stacked. Huh. Yang Lei let out a breath. Perfect, this pill was absolutely perfect. The medicinal effects not being stackable was within Yang Lei's expectations. If they could be stacked, it would be far too abnormal. One pill could amplify combat power 20-fold, if he consumed 10, wouldn't that be abnormally extreme? He continued refining. Alchemy technique. Ding. Player's refinement of great strength Vajra pellet failed. He continued refining. Ding. Congratulations, player, for successfully refining the great strength Vajra pellet. EXP plus 10 million, Qigong value plus 100,000, accumulation points plus 100,000. Proficiency increased. Refining, continuously refining. It wasn't until he had successfully refined 5 batches of pills that the system once again issued a notification. This great strength Vajra pellet also couldn't be refined too much, there were restrictions. Fortunately, refining was only restricted after 5 successful attempts. These 5 batches of great strength Vajra pellets totaled 59 pills, consuming a full 14 6th-tier demonic cores. Of course, Yang Lei's own consumption was also significant, not just of his true qi, but more importantly, his mental energy. However, it was a good thing he had the Ice Heart incantation. He sat down cross-legged, consumed an origin-restoring pill, and began cultivating, simultaneously circulating the Ice Heart incantation and the profound origin secret art. An hour later, Yang Lei opened his eyes, having once again recovered to his peak state. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. Come in. Young master, it's time for lunch. It was Xia Zhu who knocked on the door. She stood gracefully at the entrance. Yang Lei checked the time, surprised that a whole morning had passed in a flash. It was already noon. So he nodded and said, He then noticed the 3 girls, Xia Zhu, Chao Xia, and Xianlan. All 3 of them had made breakthroughs in their cultivation, which came as a bit of a surprise. He hadn't expected them to break through again in such a short time. Chao Xia had reached the martial practitioner grand perfection realm. She was the fastest cultivator. Yang Lei knew clearly that this was likely due to the effects of the Sword of the Dark Demon, but even so, it was still astounding. Xia Zhu's and Xianlan's cultivation speed was slightly slower, but they had also advanced by 1 stage. Xia Zhu had reached Martial Master 4th stage, while Xianlan had reached Martial Master 3rd stage. However, because their progress was too rapid, the 3 girls' realms were somewhat unstable. Therefore, he said, it's good that you 3 are diligent in your cultivation, but you shouldn't be overly eager for quick results. Your progress has been too fast recently, causing your foundations to become unstable. As the saying goes, haste makes waste. For the next 2 days, don't rush to cultivate, properly consolidate your current realms, otherwise, you might suffer from qi deviation. Equals 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 Chapter 152, Great Might Vitra Ring. 2. Understood, young master. The 3 girls nodded lightly, understanding that they had indeed been a little too impatient. That's right. Cultivation cannot be rushed, it brings no benefit. One must take 1 step at a time, building a solid foundation. Just like constructing a house, only with a firm base can it develop well later on and reach great heights. When I tell you to cultivate diligently, I don't mean for you to seek quick success. Cultivation is not something that can be completed in one go. Yang Lei watched the 3 girls as he spoke. In truth, he understood their sentiments very well. Even he sometimes felt impatient, but fortunately, with the all-purpose cultivation system aiding him, he didn't need to worry about such matters, nor did he have to fear any cultivation deviation. After eating, Yang Lei leisurely basked in the sun, sipping tea. However, in his mind, he was considering the wind and cloud selection in half a month. That wind and cloud selection still had a few participants with decent cultivation, but today, Yang Lei no longer paid them any mind. He had already stepped into the Martial Emperor realm, and moreover, had reached the 2nd level of Martial Emperor. Furthermore, his true strength had already reached the Martial Sovereign level. Unless their cultivation entered the Martial Sovereign realm, or they possessed some formidable treasure, then fundamentally, no one could be his opponent. As he pondered these matters, he heard Qianlan shout. Yang Lei stood up, knowing someone had arrived. It was people from the Yang family, Yang Wudi, Yang Wuyin, and Yang Yu had all come. Yang Lei had long anticipated their arrival, but he hadn't expected all three of them to rush over together. Little Layer, how are you now? You're all right, aren't you? Yang Wuyin shouted even before he was fully through the doorway. Yang Wudi was also full of concern. I heard Yang Yu say that you, young lad, encountered an assassination attempt, so I hurried over. You're unharmed, right? Yang Yu also looked at Yang Lei with concern. When Yang Lei had encountered misfortune, the three of them had been dealing with a divine beast. Otherwise, they would have rushed over much sooner. Of course, Yang Lei was unaware of these matters. Yang Lei shook his head and said, Don't worry, I'm fine. It's good that you're all right. It's good that you're all right. You had me worried sick, said Yang Wuyin. Seeing that Yang Lei was unharmed, Yang Wudi couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was Yang Yu's true spirit talisman. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. But Yang Yu laughed and said, Eldest uncle, fifth uncle, Yang Lei is my son. Naturally, I wouldn't stand by and watch him encounter misfortune. I didn't expect this true spirit talisman to truly be effective. It's also fortunate that you've reached the martial god realm, Yang Wudi said happily. You, young lad, truly did not disappoint our hopes. Our Yang family has once again produced a martial god. However, I believe little Lei's future achievements will be extraordinary. That's for sure. Just look at whose grandson he is. Yang Wuyin said smugly, beaming with pride. At this moment, Yang Yu looked at Yang Lei and said, Little Lei, I think you should still move back. Although Yang Ben is dead, I suspect the Heavenly Star Pavilion will still send assassins. That's right, Little Lei. You should still return to the Yang family, or you can come to my place. Failing that, go to the Yang family scripture repository. That place is absolutely the safest, said Yang Wudi. The three of them were well aware of the powerful master residing in the scripture repository. Even a martial god might not be able to leave the scripture repository fully intact. It's fine, don't worry. But Yang Lei shook his head, speaking with an air of indifference. What do you mean it's fine? If it weren't for Yang Yu's true spirit talisman this time, you, young lad, would have met disaster long ago. Yang Wuyin immediately said angrily. Since you don't want to return, then how about us two old men stay here? Will that do? Yang Wudi thought for a moment and said. Eldest grandfather, there's no need for that either. You have so many matters to attend to, how could I delay you? Yang Lei shook his head and said. You, young lad, neither. This nor that suits you. What exactly do you want? Yang Wuyin's temper flared a little, and he huffed angrily. At this point, Yang Yu thought for a moment, then looked at him and said, Little Lei, since you truly don't want to come back, then I'll craft another true spirit talisman for you. Upon hearing this, Yang Lei was deeply moved in his heart. Crafting another true spirit talisman would be a significant detriment to him. No. Absolutely not. Yang Wudi and Yang Wuyin shouted in unison. Yang Lei also shook his head and said, There's no need. I still have another true spirit talisman. With that, Yang Lei took out the true spirit talisman that Elder Gu had given him. The three of them were greatly startled by this. They carefully examined the talisman in Yang Lei's hand, confirming its authenticity. They simply couldn't comprehend who else would give him a true spirit talisman. This true spirit talisman was no ordinary talisman, even those of later generations might not necessarily be given one, yet Yang Lei clearly possessed one. Little Lei, where did you get this true spirit talisman? Yang Wudi asked. Yang Lei had no intention of concealing anything, and so he explained, This true spirit talisman was given to me by an elder. We met after sharing a drink. Yang Wudi and the other two were somewhat stunned by this. This true spirit talisman wasn't some common cabbage that could be casually given away. To give someone a true spirit talisman simply for sharing a drink once sounded far too absurd. Tell us the truth. We are all your elders, and we would never harm you. There's no need to hide anything, is there? Said Yang Wuyin. Yang Lei said, That elder's surname is Gu. We conversed very happily. Furthermore, the first time I encountered a gold-tier assassin, he was the one who helped me. He knew I had encountered an assassination attempt by a Heavenly Star Pavilion assassin, which is why he gave me a true spirit talisman. All right. If you don't want to talk about it, I won't force you. Now that you have a true spirit talisman, I'm no longer worried. If anything happens, just send someone to find me and your fifth grandfather. Seeing that Yang Lei was unwilling to speak further, Yang Wudi could only say, "Next time if anyone dares to bully you, just tell me. I'll vent their anger for you. In the Qianyuan kingdom, there's no one who dares to oppose our Yang family," Yang Wuyin declared grandly. Yang Lei smiled and said, "I know. Cultivate well." As he was about to leave, Yang Yu patted Yang Lei's shoulder and said, "If one day you have a change of heart and wish to return, then come back. The main gate will always be open for you. Also, regarding Caillou, I hope you won't hold a grudge against her." Equals 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 Chapter 153, Matchmaking. 1. Yang Lei nodded lightly. Bear a grudge against Dongfang Caillou? There was absolutely no need for that. If he hadn't known the truth before, he might have taken action against her. But now that he clearly understood the true situation, much of his resentment had faded. Moreover, the ones who truly bullied him weren't Dongfang Caillou herself. As the Grand Madam of the Prestige King's estate, she naturally possessed a certain breadth of mind. It was merely a few servants who had acted on their own accord, and besides, all those who had once wronged him had already received their just punishment. Rest assured, I'm not so petty. I've long since come to terms with these matters. However, Yang Tian, I hope you'll discipline him properly. Yang Lei had no favorable impression of Yang Tian. If he were to meet him again, he truly might have to teach him a lesson. Not long after Yang Yu and his group left, Zhao Yuan arrived. "Brother Yang, I heard assassins came for you again. Are you all right? Why don't you come to my place to lie low for a while?" Zhao Yuan said as soon as he saw Yang Lei. Hearing this, Yang Lei shook his head and said, "It's nothing, elder brother Zhao, no need to worry. It was just a few minor injuries, nothing serious to be concerned about." Seeing Yang Lei speak so lightly, Zhao Yuan knew it likely wasn't that simple. Encountering a gold-rank assassin before had already made Zhao Yuan's heart race. This time, it was probably even more formidable. "My young brother, listen to your elder brother for once. This celestial star pavilion is notoriously difficult to deal with. Moreover, they typically rely on assassinations. The enemy is in the dark, and you are in the light, it's hard to guard against them. Therefore, it's safer to come to my place," Zhao Yuan advised. "No need. Even if they dispatch a Martial Saint-level expert, I'm not afraid. So I appreciate your good intentions, elder brother." Yang Lei shook his head. He didn't even want to return to his own Yang family, much less the Long-Wind Merchant Guild. He absolutely didn't want to go there. If Yang Wudi and the others found out, it might displease them. After all, he was still a member of the Yang family. Alas. Zhao Yuan sighed. Before he even arrived, he had already guessed Yang Lei's response. "Since my young brother is unwilling, then I, your elder brother, won't force it. I hope this item will be of help to you." Zhao Yuan took out a box, presented it to Yang Lei, and then opened it. Seeing the item inside, Yang Lei couldn't help but gasp in surprise. Inside was a black armor, but Yang Lei, with his discerning eye, immediately recognized that it was an extraordinary piece. Appraisal skill. Upon seeing the appraisal results, Yang Lei couldn't help but be shaken. Black jade immortal armor? Young brother, what keen eyesight you have. Indeed, this is the Black Jade Immortal Armor, but it's a replica. The genuine Black Jade Immortal Armor is far more formidable than this. According to legend, after donning the true Black Jade Immortal Armor, even a God-tier Grand Completion expert might not be able to breach its defenses. Zhao Yuan explained. Yang Lei naturally knew it was a replica Black Jade Immortal Armor, but this particular replica genuinely astonished him. Black Jade Immortal Armor, Replica. Earth Tier 9th Grade. Possesses extremely strong defensive capabilities. It negates all attacks below the Martial Emperor level. Above the Martial Emperor level, its defense scales with the wearer's cultivation. A single replica Black Jade Immortal Armor possessed such terrifying defensive power. If it were the genuine Black Jade Immortal Armor, then that would truly be too terrifying. Black Jade Immortal Armor. Elder brother, this is far too precious. I cannot accept it. Yang Lei shook his head, saying that if he accepted this immortal armor, the debt of gratitude he would owe would be immense. Hearing this, Zhao Yuan glared and said, "What's there that you can't accept? It's just a piece of armor." It's useless just sitting at my place. Besides, you, my young brother, genuinely need this item. What's more, you are an elder of my Long-Wind Merchant Guild. Doesn't a single piece of armor qualify you to receive it? So you must accept it, young brother. If you don't take it, I, Zhao Yuan, will never come looking for you again, and we shall sever all ties. Seeing that Zhao Yuan had even brought up severing ties, if he were to refuse again, it would truly be a blatant disregard for the other's face, leaving him no way to back down gracefully. Elder brother, those words are too serious. I'll accept it, then. My thanks, elder brother. Now that's more like it. Zhao Yuan, seeing Yang Lei accept the armor, happily patted Yang Lei's shoulder, then took out a wine gourd. Come, this time your elder brother specifically found a fine wine. Let us two brothers have a drink. Good. Yang Lei nodded lightly, then turned to have Xia Zhu prepare some food. As soon as Zhao Yuan opened it, a rich aroma of wine immediately wafted out, brimming with spiritual energy that lingered without dissipating. One glance was enough to tell it was fine wine. Though it couldn't compare to the drunken life, dream death wine he had drunk before, it was certainly a rare and excellent wine on the Chongwu continent. Elder brother, this wine isn't simple, is it? This is 1,000-year ice soul wine, made from top-grade ice soul fruit, then aged for 1,000 years before being brought out. It is the #1 fine wine of my Chanyuan kingdom. Zhao Yuan explained. Ice soul fruit is a type of spiritual fruit, highly beneficial to cultivators, and extremely rare. And for this ice soul wine to have clearly reached 1,000 years in age, it showed just how rare this wine was. Fine wine. Yang Lei took a mouthful. As the wine entered his stomach, spiritual energy dispersed, instantly permeating his limbs and bones. It was as if he had consumed ambrosia and jade dew, making him feel light and ethereal, as if he could ascend to immortality. Indeed, fine wine. This is what I specially had my daughter retrieve from my father's cellar. Zhao Yuan chuckled. Yang Lei was surprised to hear that. This was Uncle Zhao's hidden stash? Zhao Yuan smiled and nodded lightly. Precisely. This was my father's hidden stash. Last time, I drank it a few times and got addicted. If I went to get it myself, he'd scold me to death. But if I send my daughter, he surely won't blame her. Young brother, as I've told you, my daughter is as beautiful as a heavenly immortal, with a gentle disposition like water. She possesses an 11-star water attribute cultivation root and is already a 3rd-stage martial sovereign today, far stronger than your elder brother here. Elder brother, you truly are blessed with good fortune, Yang Lei said with a smile. However, this daughter of mine is too exceptional. Ordinary men don't catch her eye. I reckon only you, my young brother, could be worthy of her, Zhao Yuan continued. Upon hearing this, Yang Lei immediately understood that elder brother Zhao had come to advertise his daughter, essentially playing the role of a matchmaker. Thus, Yang Lei couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Elder brother, I say, I've never considered such matters. Before I achieve the martial god realm, I won't be thinking about these things. Equals 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 Chapter 154, Matchmaking. 2. Junior brother, that's not quite right. Though your talent is excellent, cultivating to the martial god realm still requires time. Furthermore, my daughter, Zhao Bingquan, also pursues the peak of the martial Dao, just like you. If the two of you could get to know each other, you could encourage and aid one another. Moreover, I possess a cultivation technique that can help the two of you cultivate. As long as you marry, your cultivation will surely advance by leaps and bounds. Zhao Yuan chuckled as he spoke. Senior brother, is that Zhao Bingquan truly your daughter? Yang Lei felt his brow furrow with exasperation, expressing deep doubt. Was this Zhao Bingquan truly his daughter? What kind of father would peddle his own daughter like this? However, after a moment's thought, he found it somewhat understandable. After all, if he could truly refine the blood essence pill, and Zhao Yuan could have his daughter marry him, it would be no different from officially tying him to their boat. Still, Yang Lei surmised that this wasn't Zhao Yuan's own idea. He guessed it was a scheme concocted by Zhao Yu. What do you say, junior brother, are you swayed? In that case, there's no better day than today. How about we go see my daughter today? She is a disciple of the Profound Ice Palace. When you meet, you two can have a good exchange. Senior brother, you've misunderstood. That's naturally not what I meant. Yang Lei shook his head. What I mean is, you and I are peers. If I were to marry your daughter, wouldn't that mess up the generational hierarchy? This won't do. Furthermore, I truly have no such intentions right now. Besides, I'm only 16 years old. Senior brother, please don't waste your efforts. Drink up, let's drink. I'll give you a surprise later. Yang Lei helplessly raised his wine cup. A surprise? If you were to agree to this marriage, that would be the greatest surprise, Zhao Yuan said, shaking his head. Yang Lei remained silent, cooperating by drinking the wine. Seeing Yang Lei remain silent, Zhao Yuan could only accept it. If Yang Lei could become his son-in-law, he would be 1,000, even 10,000 times willing. Where could one find such a talent? Moreover, someone like Yang Lei would undoubtedly soar to great heights. If he didn't seize this opportunity now, it would be harder in the future. When his father first brought up this idea, he had still hesitated. After all, Zhao Bingquan was his only daughter. But it was only a moment's hesitation. If she could marry Yang Lei, wouldn't that be a good match and a secure future for her? However, seeing Yang Lei's attitude, Zhao Yuan clearly understood that it would likely be difficult to persuade him, unless his daughter personally stepped forward. Of course, Zhao Yuan still had faith in his daughter. Half an hour later, a jar of ice soul wine was drunk empty. Ever since Yang Lei had tasted the drunken life, dream death wine, he had disdained all other wines. This ice soul wine, however, was an exception. Though it couldn't compare to the miraculous drunken life, dream death wine's potent effects, it was still a very good wine. Senior brother, this wine truly isn't bad, Yang Lei praised. If junior brother were to agree to that matter of mine, drinking it every day wouldn't be a problem, Zhao Yuan said, patting his chest. Hearing this, Yang Lei gave a wry smile. Senior brother, please don't bring up that matter again. Alright, I'll go ahead and bring you that thing first. What thing? Could it be that you've refined the blood essence pill? Zhao Yuan's heart jolted in surprise. His father had already told him about the blood essence pill. Yang Lei lightly nodded. That's right, I've already refined this blood essence pill. It took much painstaking effort, I failed several times, but finally, I refined 5 blood essence pills. Yang Lei didn't reveal the full truth. He turned his single successful refinement into several failures and the 8 blood essence pills into only 5. Really? Junior brother, you're not joking, are you? Zhao Yuan was extraordinarily surprised and delighted. Yang Lei lightly nodded. Naturally, it's true. Senior brother, when have I ever joked with you? He then took out 5 porcelain bottles and placed them on the table. These are blood essence pills. Each porcelain bottle contains 1 pill, for a total of 5 pills. A single pill can extend one's lifespan by 20 years. Zhao Yuan couldn't contain his excitement. He picked up a porcelain bottle, opened it to inspect, then sniffed at it with his nose. It was a long while before he spoke. Indeed, it's the blood essence pill. Junior brother, you truly are formidable. For several hundred years, no one has been able to refine the blood essence pill. To think you've succeeded in refining it. Once word of this blood essence pill gets out, the entire continent will surely be shaken. Refining this blood essence pill isn't easy, Yang Lei said. To be able to refine this blood essence pill was also luck, a fortuitous success. The success rate is too low. I refined it so many times just to get 5 pills. To refine more is simply impossible. Junior brother, you are too humble, Zhao Yuan chuckled as he said. You can still refine it, it's just that the success rate is relatively low. Others, however, have no means of succeeding at all. Therefore, being able to succeed offers hope. With hope, those old monsters whose lifespans are nearing their end will naturally not let go of this opportunity. For them, these materials are nothing. So, if junior brother is willing, you can secure formidable allies at any time. Looking at the blood essence pills before him, Zhao Yuan let out a light breath of relief. With these blood essence pills, his father becoming the guildmaster was a foregone conclusion. But Yang Lei shook his head and said, I hope senior brother will not reveal this matter. Yang Lei knew clearly in his heart that if this matter were to spread, he didn't know if it would be a blessing or a curse for him. Everyone coveted this blood essence pill, especially those old monsters, they would surely fight over it like madmen. Even if one didn't need to use this blood essence pill temporarily, who knew if they might need it in the future? Therefore, this blood essence pill would not only be coveted by those whose lifespans were nearing their end, but others would also fight for it. As the alchemist who refined this blood essence pill, Yang Lei would naturally be thrust into the eye of the storm, and some might even resort to unscrupulous means. Yang Lei himself knew that his cultivation was too weak. If he faced a martial saint, he might have a chance to escape. But facing a martial god, even with an invisibility talisman, it would be difficult to escape, because that invisibility talisman could only conceal him for half an hour. Half an hour of concealment was still not enough for a martial god, it was too short. Rest assured, this matter is crucial. Your senior brother knows this, and will absolutely not speak of it. Zhao Yuan naturally patted his chest in assurance. If this secret were to be exposed, then his relationship and friendship with Yang Lei would likely just end. As a merchant, Zhao Yuan naturally wouldn't sacrifice long-term plans for immediate gain. Chapter 155 Artifact Forging. 1. Of these 5 vitality blood pills, I'll take 3, the rest, younger brother, are yours. Zhao Yuan was not a greedy man. With Yang Lei present, vitality blood pills would still be available as long as the materials were there. Thus, he truly didn't take all 5, merely stating he wanted 3. But Yang Lei smiled and said, "No need, elder brother. Take all 3 of these. Just provide me with the medicinal ingredients for the vitality blood pills. After all, I can refine them myself. Though the success rate is relatively low, I believe it will improve with time. Besides, I don't need these currently." Upon hearing this, Zhao Yuan did not refuse. He indeed urgently needed these vitality blood pills right now, and 5 pills were not considered many. So he said, "Then this elder brother will not be polite. As for the medicinal ingredients required to refine vitality blood pills, I will have someone deliver them." Yang Lei nodded lightly. Seeing Zhao Yuan's sincere appearance, a hint of guilt also rose in his heart. "Younger brother, if you need any help, just say so directly. If it really comes down to it, I can ask my father to send a few guards. He still has the authority to do that much. Furthermore, now that I'm returning with these vitality blood pills, those old fellows in the merchant guild will definitely support my father. There's absolutely no problem with that." Zhao Yuan was still worried about Yang Lei. If anything unfortunate happened to him, everything would be over. Therefore, Yang Lei absolutely could not be harmed, whether from the perspective of a friend or a cooperative partner. "It's fine, no need for that. I have my own plans." Yang Lei shook his head. "Sending guards? What kind of arrangement was that? Seriously, wouldn't that be equivalent to being monitored? That was absolutely unacceptable." No matter the intention, Yang Lei absolutely did not want to expose his affairs to others. After Zhao Yuan left, Yang Lei picked up the replica obsidian immortal armor and carefully examined it. The person who crafted this obsidian immortal armor was absolutely extraordinary. With this obsidian immortal armor, he gained an additional layer of protection. Yang Lei was already wearing the celestial silkworm silk undergarment. With the addition of this obsidian immortal armor, he wouldn't need to worry about early-stage martial emperors at all. First, he would perform the blood-binding ritual. He would use this armor for now, but once he dealt with the matter of the gold medal assassin, he wouldn't need it. Yang Lei cultivated the iron cloth shirt technique, so wearing protective gear like armor was actually detrimental to his cultivation. After the replica obsidian immortal armor was bound by blood, it merged into Yang Lei's body, becoming invisible. However, Yang Lei couldn't help but gasp in surprise. This replica obsidian immortal armor, he feared, had already surpassed the category of spirit artifacts. It was estimated to be somewhere between a high-grade spirit artifact and a divine artifact. This item alone was worth far more than 5 vitality blood pills. Yang Lei secretly thought, this Zhao Wu truly went all out. Witnessing the formidable power of this armor, Yang Lei couldn't resist trying his hand at artifact forging. His artifact forging technique was still at the intermediate level and hadn't advanced. Other skills, such as talisman crafting and pill refining, had already reached the advanced level. Only his artifact forging technique had shown no improvement whatsoever. Speaking of artifact forging, Yang Lei immediately thought of crafting some modern weapons, such as sniper rifles, RPKs, Gatling machine guns, and the like. He even considered creating weapons of mass destruction. If he could create an atomic bomb, that would be truly satisfying. Although such a thing would likely be useless against peerless experts, against ordinary martial artists, it would undoubtedly slaughter a vast number. Especially when factions clashed and war erupted, if he dropped an atomic bomb, how much experience would he gain? How many levels would he rise? Just thinking about it made Yang Lei drool. However, an atomic bomb was definitely impossible to craft. What were its principles? What was the process? Although Yang Lei had learned about nuclear fusion, such things were high technology, and an individual's power was limited. He simply didn't have that much energy to spare. Yang Lei was very clear on this point, so he didn't need to dwell on it. But grenades were still possible, much like the sky-rumbling thunder that Yang Tianlei had once unleashed. These were relatively simple, based on the principle of explosion. As for firearms, such as the Desert Eagle, M4A1, AK-47, these should be craftable. After all, the system had once produced a golden Desert Eagle. Of course, perhaps in the future, as his level increased and his artifact forging technique improved, he might even be able to craft bombers, fighter jets, all sorts of modernized weapons, and who knew, maybe even intercontinental ballistic missiles. It took a while for Yang Lei to snap out of his imagination. He realized he had been fantasizing a bit too much. Of course, this wasn't entirely impossible. Although the principles of electronics, mechanics, and chemistry were difficult to comprehend and develop, in this world, weren't there still mysterious things like array formations, restrictions, and talismans? As long as these could be combined, anything was possible. Of course, the current problem was that Yang Lei had only just obtained the array formation system. He basically had no understanding of other restrictions and talismans, so he couldn't research them. Furthermore, even the array formation system was still in its elementary stage. It was still unrealistic to deploy weapons and equipment within an array formation. Therefore, crafting bombers, missiles, today was completely out of the question. As for simple firearms, they might be possible. However, their power would certainly not be very great. Of course, killing martial masters and below would still be no problem. But would these be useful to Yang Lei? The answer was clear, no, they wouldn't. But anyway, it was just practice. There was no need to craft firearms. He would start by crafting longswords or daggers. As for artifact forging materials, Yang Lei was not lacking. During the family trials, he had killed so many demonic beasts, and many of their bones had been collected. He had also purchased a large quantity of ores from the Long Wind Merchant Guild, so he naturally wasn't worried about artifact forging materials. First, Yang Lei intended to try crafting a short sword, similar in style to the Dark Demon Sword. After determining the design, Yang Lei carefully selected the materials. Among them, the main material was celestial profound iron. This celestial profound iron was extremely hard to come by, and Yang Lei had only managed to acquire one piece. However, after some thought, he still felt it was too wasteful. If he failed, it would be a pity. In the end, he switched to ordinary profound iron. His artifact forging technique activated. His true chi continuously empowered it, and the profound iron slowly began to melt. As time slowly passed, the profound iron gradually took shape. At the crucial moment, Yang Lei took out a demonic core and integrated it into the forging. Chapter 156 Weapon Forging 2. A 6th grade fire attribute demonic beasts demon core. Ding! Congratulations, player, for successfully forging the short sword. EXP plus 1 million, score points plus 10,000, Qigong value plus 10,000, proficiency increased. Yang Lei was stunned. He hadn't expected to actually succeed, and the weapon he had forged seemed to be of no low grade. Nameless short sword, profound tier, 5th grade. A fire attribute short sword. Doubles true chi amplification, can amplify sword chi, and can be inlaid with precious gems to increase its grade. Not bad, quite good indeed. It was stronger than ordinary weapons. Moreover, to allow for future upgrades of the precious sword, Yang Lei had intentionally left a slot on the hilt for inlaying. This short sword was very suitable for Xiaozhu, she was fire attribute. Yang Lei had intentionally added a fire attribute demon core precisely for this reason. What was important was that his artifact forging technique had reached the intermediate level. This was what Yang Lei cared about most. Xiaozhu, come here. Yang Lei called out, holding the sword in his hand. Xiaozhu heard him and ran over, her body glistening with a delicate sheen of sweat. She had clearly been cultivating just now, and in such a state, she looked utterly captivating. Young master, what is it? This sword is for you to use for now. It's a bit better than the one you have. When I find more suitable materials later, I'll forge another one for you. Yang Lei handed the newly forged short sword to Xiaozhu. See if you like it. If not, I'll make you a different one when I have time later. Looking at the short sword, Xiaozhu's eyes lit up. One glance was enough for her to know that this short sword was truly extraordinary. Although it couldn't compare to Chao Xi's short sword, it was far superior to the long sword she was currently using. Moreover, the fire attribute aura emanating from the sword body made Xiaozhu extremely fond of it. Holding it in her hand, the sensation was excellent. This short sword felt as if it had been specially made for her. I like it very much. Thank you, young master. Xiaozhu lovingly caressed the short sword, unable to put it down, her face brimming with joyful smiles. It's good that you like it. I was still worried you wouldn't, and all my efforts would have been for nothing, Yang Lei said with a smile. Oh right, young master, I have mine now, but what about Xianlan? Where is Xianlan? I'll go call her over. At this moment, Xiaozhu remembered her good sister. Yang Lei heard her and said, don't be in such a hurry. I haven't forged Xianlan's yet. But it's good that you call her over. See what style she likes, then I'll find it easier to work with. N. Xiaozhu nodded, then happily dashed towards the room, seemingly exceptionally delighted, like a little girl who had just received candy. Yang Lei couldn't help but shake his head. Xianlan was different from Xiaozhu. Xianlan was wood attribute, and as it happened, Yang Lei possessed both top-grade sandalwood and ironwood, which were excellent materials for artifact forging. He also had one wood attribute demon core, though this particular core was slightly inferior to the previous fire attribute one. Soon, Xianlan also arrived, looking joyful. Hearing Yang Lei say he wanted to forge a weapon for her, her heart was also extremely happy. Moreover, seeing Xiaozhu's short sword filled her heart with endless envy. Young master. You're here. I'm sure Xiaozhu has already told you on the way, Yang Lei said, looking at Xianlan. What kind of weapon would you like me to forge for you? Tell me, and I'll do my best to satisfy you. Xianlan thought for a moment, then hesitated, looking at Yang Lei as she voiced her thoughts. Young master, I want a long whip. Yang Lei was stunned by this. A long whip? Immediately, a vision flashed through his mind, a fiery beauty wielding a long whip, clad in high-heeled leather boots, a queen? Seeing Yang Lei speechless, Xianlan hurriedly asked, Young master, a long whip isn't strictly necessary. I can change my mind, a sword would be fine too. Seeing Xianlan's flustered expression, Yang Lei couldn't help but smile and say, you don't need to be nervous, I'm not blaming you. However, while forging a long whip is possible, I currently lack the suitable materials for it. So, how about this, I'll forge you a long sword first, and then, when I find the appropriate materials, I'll forge that long whip for you. How does that sound? Seeing that Yang Lei wasn't angry, Xianlan finally breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly nodded, that works too. Many thanks, young master. No need to thank me, Yang Lei waved his hand, you are all my people. There's no need for constant thanks in the future. Hearing Yang Lei's words, both Xiaozhu and Xianlan's faces flushed slightly. His people, that phrase carried another layer of meaning, hinting that the two of them might, in the future, have the opportunity to become the young master's women. The two girls exchanged a glance, each seeing the blush and shyness in the other's eyes. However, Yang Lei paid no attention to these nuances. He took out the purple dragon cauldron, along with a section of sandalwood and a wood attribute demon core. Since Xianlan was, after all, a girl, and girls tended to like beautiful things, and this particular sandalwood carried a fragrant scent, forging a sandalwood sword from it seemed like an excellent idea. Artifact forging technique. True Qi augmentation. Gradually, his true fire purged the impurities within the sandalwood. He then continuously refined it, shaping it into his envisioned form, and finally incorporated the demon core. Half an hour later, a wood attribute longsword emerged from the cauldron. Its style was ancient and classic, yet it exuded a faint, pleasing fragrance of sandalwood. Ding. Congratulations, player, for successfully forging the sandalwood sword. EXP plus 1 million, score points plus 10,000, Qigong value plus 10,000, proficiency increased. It succeeded. Yang Lei examined its attributes. They were quite good, not inferior to the short sword he had forged earlier. If the wood attribute demon core hadn't been slightly inferior, the sandalwood sword might even have surpassed the fire attribute short sword. Here, for you. What do you think? Do you like it? Yang Lei handed the sandalwood sword to Xianlan. It's so beautiful. Xianlan exclaimed happily, her eyes wide. This sword was indeed excellent, exceeding Xianlan's expectations. Thank you, young master. I said no need to thank me. Have you forgotten? Yang Lei said with a smile. But I'm truly happy. Xianlan pouted playfully. Young master, you're being unfair. At this, Xiaozhu pouted her small lips and said. Yang Lei was stunned, not quite understanding, and looked at her, asking, unfair? How am I being unfair? Both your weapons are almost identical, neither is significantly better than the other. Why does Xianlan's long sword have a sandalwood scent, but mine doesn't? I want a fragrant scent too. Yang Lei was momentarily taken aback. He hadn't expected her complaint to be about this. He chuckled and said, isn't that simple? Just fumigate it with some incense, and it'll have a scent, won't it? Equals 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 Chapter 157, The Last Golden Medallion Assassin. 1. To Yang Lei, a sword was merely an instrument for killing, a lethal weapon. He fundamentally cared not for its scent or aesthetic appeal, as long as it could take a life, that was sufficient, and the easier it was to do so, the better. However, girls were different. Thus, Yang Lei hadn't refined the swords of the two girls into true instruments of death. As long as they remained by his side, they would fundamentally have no need to engage in combat, Chao Xia being the obvious exception. No, that scent isn't natural, Xiaozhu said. I want young master to make it for me. There was another meaning behind her words, asking him to make it for her. A bead of sweat trickled down Yang Lei's brow. He said helplessly, what scent do you want? Hearing this, Xiaozhu's face brightened into a smile. Roses, she said. Give me your short sword, then go fetch a few roses, Yang Lei said, resigning himself to her request. Xiaozhu nodded slightly and happily ran towards the flower garden in the backyard. The residents Zhao Yuan had provided them possessed such a garden, naturally filled with blooms. The three girls habitually tended to these flowers and plants when idle, thus they were intimately familiar with the grounds. Very quickly, Xiaozhu ran back, clutching a bouquet of roses. Yang Lei plucked the petals, refined their essence, and dripped it into the violet dragon cauldron. He then placed the short sword inside. A minute later, Yang Lei retrieved it. Now, the short sword not only carried a floral fragrance, but its blade was also etched with the likeness of roses. Here, are you satisfied now? Yang Lei asked. I'm satisfied, I'm satisfied. Xiaozhu took the short sword. While Yang Lei wasn't paying attention, she planted a kiss on his cheek, then quickly darted away. Yang Lei was stunned, then touched his face where he'd been kissed. Young master. Ah, you want a scent too, right? Yang Lei said. All right, bring it out. Whatever scent you desire, go prepare the flowers yourself and bring them here for me to process for you. Since Xiaozhu had received one, it wouldn't be fair not to do the same for Xianlan. While you're at it, call Xia over too, and see if she needs one. Understood, Xianlan replied, nodding slightly. She also happily walked towards the backyard. A short while later, she came out with Chao Xia. After he had finished refining Xianlan's long sword, she too blushed, planted a kiss on his face, and then happily departed. Young master, why did you send for me? Watching Xianlan's actions, Chao Xia felt a blush creeping up, but she did her best to maintain a calm expression. Yang Lei looked at her and said, it's like this. I've helped Xiaozhu and Xianlan refine their swords and imbued them with floral scents. If you wish, I can process something for you too. Young master means. Chao Xia was a woman, and women naturally appreciated beauty. However, she was waiting to hear Yang Lei's specific proposal, for she was intelligent and knew he hadn't finished speaking. My suggestion is that your dark demon sword doesn't require such processing, and moreover, I don't currently possess the ability to do so for it. However, if you wish, I can imbue some other item with your preferred floral scent. After all, you are all my people. If I do it for them but not for you, it would seem I am being unfair. Pausing for a moment, Yang Lei continued. However, what I mean is, if later, when I send you on a mission, you must first eliminate and conceal any scent on your person. Otherwise, your identity will be very easily exposed. You must remember this point well. In that case, I don't need it then, Chao Xia said upon hearing this. That's not necessary either, Yang Lei said with a slight smile. You girls are all amateurs, I'm well aware of that. Later, I'll prepare a special medicinal substance, or perhaps a talisman, which can perfectly mask your aura when you execute missions. Then. Young master, can you refine storage pouches? Yang Lei nodded slightly. Although his artifact refining skill level had yet to reach the advanced stage, he could indeed refine storage pouches. Moreover, the system contained the method for refining storage pouches. Then, young master, could you refine a storage pouch for me? I'd like the scent of orchids, Chao Xia said, looking at Yang Lei with slightly wide eyes. Go find the orchids yourself, Yang Lei said. After Chao Xia left, Yang Lei accessed the exchange system, found the method for refining storage pouches, and spent 100,000 cultivation points to acquire it. He then expended another 50,000 cultivation points to exchange for the necessary materials. At this moment, Yang Lei's remaining cultivation points amounted to 1,170,000. Artifact refining art. Ding. Storage pouch refinement failed. EXP plus 10,000, cultivation points plus 100, chi cultivation value plus 100. Proficiency increased. This first refinement attempt failed, but Yang Lei had already anticipated the possibility. Thus, when exchanging for the storage pouch materials, he had intentionally acquired 5 sets. 1 failure, 4 sets remained. He continued refining. Artifact refining art. A few minutes later, the system's notification sound rang out. Ding. Congratulations, player. Storage pouch refinement successful. EXP plus 1 million, chi cultivation value plus 10,000, cultivation points plus 10,000. Proficiency increased. It was a success, but Yang Lei didn't immediately retrieve the storage pouch. Instead, he looked towards Chao Xia, who was already waiting at his side, having gathered the orchids. Xia, give me the orchids. Hearing Yang Lei, Chao Xia handed him all the flowers she held. Yang Lei directly placed the orchids into the violet dragon cauldron, then imbued it with his true qi. After a period of refining, the essence of the orchids was extracted and infused into the storage pouch. The small pouch was also embroidered with a delicate orchid, exquisitely vivid. Holding it in his hand, he checked its attributes. It was quite good, the storage space of this pouch reached 64 cubic feet. Here you go. What do you think? Do you like it? Chao Xia happily took the storage pouch and nodded slightly. Wait a moment, Yang Lei said. I'll refine one for them too. Later, you can take them to them. Having said that, Yang Lei once again began refining. Artifact refining art. Ding. Congratulations, player. Storage pouch refinement successful. EXP plus 1 million, chi cultivation value plus 10,000, cultivation points plus 10,000. Proficiency increased. Artifact refining art. Ding. Congratulations, player. Storage pouch refinement successful. EXP plus 1 million, chi cultivation value plus 10,000, cultivation points plus 10,000. Proficiency increased. 2 successful refinements, saving him a good deal of trouble. A fine sheen of sweat had appeared on Yang Lei's forehead, as continuous refining consumed no small amount of energy. Chapter 158, The Final Gold Medal Assassin. 2. Chao Xia, standing by his side, took out a silk handkerchief and gently wiped Yang Lei clean. Yang Lei made no objection. Alright, take these to the others. These 2 spatial pouches, surprisingly, carried no fragrance, nor any decorative flowers, simply being ordinary spatial pouches. Chao Xia felt a strange stirring in her heart. As she accepted the spatial pouches, she suddenly kissed Yang Lei. Since Yang Lei was turning around, the kiss landed directly on his lips. Chao Xia's face flushed a deep crimson, dewy and enchanting, as she immediately turned and fled. Ambushed again. Yang Lei gazed dumbfounded at Chao Xia's retreating figure. He pondered inwardly if he was truly letting Xiaoxing down. But he quickly found an excuse for himself. This wasn't my initiative, she should understand me. Besides, in this world, who knows if I'll ever be able to return. But at that moment, Yang Lei suddenly felt something was amiss. Killing intent, there was killing intent. He immediately became alert. Although this killing intent was very faint, Yang Lei still sensed it. Only then did he recall that he had forgotten to activate his illusory formation today. This killing intent was unmistakably emanating from a gold medal assassin. True eagle eyes. He scanned his surroundings. What astonished Yang Lei was that he clearly couldn't detect the assassin's presence. He furrowed his brows. Could he truly evade the scrutiny of his true eagle eyes? That was absolutely impossible. His true eagle eyes could see through all disguises. That gold medal assassin absolutely couldn't escape his vision. Could it be that his earlier sensation was mistaken, a mere illusion, and the assassin hadn't appeared at all? No, that's wrong. What he had just sensed was definitely not an illusion, it was genuine killing intent. So where could this fellow be hiding? If he couldn't be seen above ground, then he must be underground. Yes, underground. The killing intent earlier must have emanated from beneath the earth. He activated true eagle eyes once more, scanning beneath the ground. Sure enough, that fellow was like a mole rat, curled up not far beneath him. Yang Lei also felt a trace of lingering fear in his heart. If he had been a little closer, the assassin would surely have launched an explosive attack. His previous position had been just a hair's breadth short of being the optimal attack spot. Appraisal skill. He used his appraisal skill on the fellow, discovering that this guy's cultivation was indeed terrifying. Martial Emperor Great Perfection. Jianyi, Heaven Star Pavilion's #1 gold medal assassin, proficient in earth evasion technique, breath concealment technique, and stealth technique. Active for 30 years, never once failed. Looking at this information, Yang Lei couldn't help but gasp. Holy cow, he thought, another record of 30 years active without a single failure. That's damn monstrous. If this guy broke through Martial Emperor to enter Martial Saint, that would truly be defying the heavens. How could he possibly deal with such a monstrous fellow? Yang Lei knew this guy wouldn't act rashly unless he had absolute certainty of success. Otherwise, he wouldn't have achieved a 30-year undefeated record. However, he currently held a significant advantage. The assassin didn't know Yang Lei had already discovered him. Moreover, Yang Lei understood the assassin's strengths like the back of his hand. The disadvantage, however, was that Yang Lei simply couldn't finish him off with a single strike. If they truly fought head-on, he might not necessarily win against him. Ambush? That was simply ludicrous. Since this guy could achieve 30 years without a single failure, it proved he was the grand progenitor of ambushes. So if not by ambush, how could he eliminate this guy? Yang Lei was in a predicament. Of course, if he directly used a true spirit talisman, there would be no problem. The difference between a Martial Emperor Great Perfection and a Martial Saint Great Perfection was self-evident. This was fundamentally an unbridgeable gap. But that true spirit talisman was single-use, and he really couldn't bear to use it. To use his last true spirit talisman just to deal with him would be too much of a loss. So what should he do now? Have Xiaozhu and the others go find help while he waited here? That wasn't a bad idea, he just feared the assassin would discover his intentions. However, this was currently the best method. As long as Jianyi didn't know he had been exposed, it could be carried out. Thus, Yang Lei called out for Xiaozhu to come over. Even though she was still a little shy, Xiaozhu still approached. Young master, is something wrong? Recalling what had just happened, Xiaozhu's face was still a little flushed. Yang Lei nodded lightly and whispered a few words into her ear. Xiaozhu nodded lightly, then headed outside. Immediately after Xiaozhu left, Yang Lei sensed Jianyi's killing intent reappear. Yang Lei raised an eyebrow. Could this guy's hearing be so sharp that he'd overheard? Yang Lei hadn't dared to mask his voice. After all, doing so would make the assassin suspicious. But without masking it, he was very likely to be heard. Once he heard, he might act early. Of course, he might also continue to bide his time, seeking an opportunity. Since Jiani could achieve 30 years without a single failure, it proved his immense confidence in his concealment, and that he could absolutely evade even a martial god's investigation. Yang Lei was able to sense Jiani's presence entirely because the assassin had been somewhat negligent, releasing a wisp of killing intent that Yang Lei detected. Furthermore, it was mainly due to having a monstrous skill like true eagle eyes, otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to find him at all. However, at this moment, Yang Lei became extremely cautious. His mental energy was highly concentrated. This guy had clearly stirred up killing intent once more, which proved he might very well be unable to hold back and make a move. Yang Lei thought for a moment. If he used the Heaven Blade's first form, which granted a 64-fold increase in combat power, he might be able to force Jiani out. Then he could immediately use the Stormy Pear Blossom Needles. Jiani had no protective measures, and it was impossible that he would have specifically prepared special weapons like Yang Bing to counter his Stormy Pear Blossom Needles. However, the success rate wasn't very high. The opponent definitely had trump cards and life-saving techniques, otherwise, how could he have such a monstrous record? Or should he use the Little Flying Dagger? See if luck would burst forth, triggering its 1 in 1,000 one-hit kill chance? But that probability was only 1 in 1,000, the chance of hitting the jackpot was truly too small. Next, Jiani did not act as Yang Lei had imagined. Instead, he continued to hide, remaining perfectly still. Equals 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 Chapter 159, Instantaneous Travel for 1,000 li. 1. This truly filled Yang Lei with profound admiration. To have remained inert beneath the earth for such an extended period, completely still, not even a flicker from his eyes, though, naturally, they were closed, his senses serving as his sole guide underground. Yet, his continued stillness was a good sign. It appeared he was still biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment. Or, perhaps, he had yet to grasp the fact that his presence had been uncovered. With that in mind, all he needed to do was wait for Duong Wudi to arrive. Duong Wudi was already a martial saint at great perfection, merely a hair's breadth from ascending to the martial god realm. Dealing with Kim Not would certainly be within his capabilities, let alone with Yang Lei himself also present. Thus, Yang Lei was utterly confident today. However, if this fellow were to be slain by Duong Wudi, Yang Lei would incur a certain loss. Therefore, he needed to launch his Rainstorm Pear Blossom Needles at the critical juncture, delivering a lethal strike. Yang Lei settled into the courtyard, leisurely sipping tea, a faint smile playing upon his lips. He mused inwardly, ** If I maintain this facade, that fellow will likely continue to wait indefinitely. A good assassin, one who has never once failed in 30 years, how formidable must his patience be? No one could truly grasp it. His perfect record signifies that his endurance has reached an utterly inconceivable level. In other words, he will always meticulously seek out the optimal moment to strike, and that moment is precisely when he can deliver a single, fatal blow. But clearly, Yang Lei's current position relative to Kim Not's concealed location was ill-suited for an assault. A single, lethal strike held no possibility whatsoever. 10 minutes later, Ha Truck and Duong Wudi entered the courtyard. Duong Wudi was a martial saint at great perfection, yet Yang Lei observed not the slightest ripple of change from Kim Not, a fact that filled Yang Lei with profound admiration. Little Lei, why have you called me over? Is it about me moving closer, or perhaps you relocating? Duong Wudi was unaware of Yang Lei's purpose in summoning him, but upon hearing Ha Truck report that Yang Lei sought his presence, he instantly abandoned his current tasks and hurried forth. This demonstrated the immense value he placed upon his grandson. Great-grandfather, I have a small matter I need to trouble you with. Yang Lei spoke, then stepped forward. At this precise moment, his proximity to Kim Not had reached the optimal range for an attack. Yet, Yang Lei knew with absolute certainty that Kim Not would never launch an assault in this instant. However, Kim Not's inaction did not imply that Yang Lei would likewise refrain from attacking. The wind-hidden blade instantly appeared in his grasp. With a resounding battle cry, he unleashed Heavenly Blade's first form. He immediately slashed down towards Kim Not's hidden spot, like a lightning bolt rending the heavens. Its speed was so prodigious that even the keenest eye struggled to follow its trajectory. Fast, too fast. However, Kim Not was no ordinary opponent, no flickering flame about to be extinguished. He instantly perceived the looming peril, only now comprehending the full extent of his exposure. He immediately sought to make a distant escape. But was a strike from Yang Lei so easily circumvented? If it could be evaded, then it wouldn't be the heavenly blade's first form. Boom, the earth erupted, the blade's descent carving a long, massive crater. Keemnot was flung outwards, yet the strike inflicted only minor wounds. Meanwhile, Duong Wudi, who had been observing from the side, finally comprehended the reason for Yang Lei's summons. Previously, when Yang Lei had abruptly erupted into action, Duong Wudi hadn't quite understood his intentions. Now, he realized, Yang Lei had unearthed a lurking foe. Duong Wudi was profoundly startled. He, a martial saint at great perfection, had utterly failed to detect the opponent's presence. And given that the adversary's cultivation was merely martial emperor at great perfection, his own failure to perceive him meant this assassin was truly fearsome. And in that fleeting instant Keemnot was hurled aloft. Duong Wudi, too, unleashed his power. A long spear immediately materialized in his hand. Against one who dared to assassinate his own grandson before his very eyes, attempting to extinguish the Yang family's hopes, Duong Wudi would show absolutely no quarter. So, his very first strike was with full power. Yang family spear art, flood dragon exits the sea. The long spear in his hand trembled, instantly manifesting as a formidable flood dragon, its aura ferocious, its fangs bared and claws brandished as it lunged towards Keemnot with awe-inspiring might. Keemnot was struck with terror at the sight. He understood with chilling clarity that this strike wielded formidable power, the full might of a martial saint at great perfection. Furthermore, with such an oppressive aura bearing down, he would find it exceedingly difficult to contend. Retreat, a swift withdrawal, it was his only recourse. As an assassin, if a single strike missed, retreat was the primary option. And Keemnot exemplified this principle. His flawless record did not imply that every mission was completed on the first attempt. Instead, if an initial strike failed, Keemnot would covertly retreat, only to return at a later, more opportune moment. Therefore, Keemnot's evasion techniques and life-preserving escape arts were truly unparalleled. As he retreated, he ingeniously leveraged the momentum of Duong Wudi's spear strike, instantly breaking free from the attack's range. At the precise moment Keemnot inwardly rejoiced, convinced he had slipped beyond Duong Wudi's attack radius and could make his escape, he overlooked one crucial individual, Yang Lei, the very target of his current mission. Yang Lei understood with absolute clarity that Keemnot was no match for Duong Wudi. However, for Duong Wudi to actually slay Keemnot would be no simple task. An assassin who had never once failed certainly possessed formidable life-preserving stratagems, otherwise, facing innumerable pursuers, he would have perished 10,000 times over long ago. Among these, the stealth art and the breath concealment art were merely two of his many skills. In the very instant Keemnot retreated, preparing to make his escape, Yang Lei made his move. The Tangsek's foremost hidden weapon. Rainstorm Pear Blossom Needles. The instant the Rainstorm Pear Blossom Needles were unleashed, countless poison darts, like a torrential downpour, cascaded upon Keemnot. The area of effect was vast, their speed blindingly fast, he had no chance whatsoever to evade. A single golden needle ripped through his protective aura of true chi, burying itself deep within his flesh. The potent toxin instantly coursed through his bloodstream, spreading throughout his entire being, infiltrating his heart and brain. It took effect immediately, even a Grand Unity Golden Immortal would find themselves helpless to save him. 3 seconds later, Keemnot fell to the ground, dead, his eyes still wide open in disbelief. Ding! Congratulations to the player for slaying the Heavenly Star Pavilion's gold rank assassin Keemnot, Martial Emperor Great Perfection Cultivation. EXP plus 90 million, Qigong value plus 900,000, accumulation points plus 900,000. Ding! Congratulations to the player for acquiring Earth Evasion Art. Ding! Congratulations to the player for acquiring Breath Concealment Art. Ding! Congratulations to the player for acquiring Instantaneous Travel for 1,000 li. A pleasant surprise, indeed. What was a pleasant surprise? This was a pleasant surprise. A huge drop. This was undeniably a massive haul. The Earth Evasion Art and Breath Concealment Art were, of course, absolutely practical skills. But one cultivation technique, above all others, was the most formidable, Instantaneous Travel for 1,000 li, the paramount life-preserving escape art. Equals 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 Chapter 160, Thuan Tiu Si Thien Lai. 2. Thuan Tu Si Thien Lai * a heaven tier, first grade cultivation art that consumes true chi, allowing one to traverse 1,000 li in but a single breath. No wonder this Kim Not had never failed before. He possessed such astonishing life-saving methods. If he didn't die the first time, he would simply flee, and I would have to pursue him a second time. Upon closer inspection, Thuan Tu Si Thien Lai, for Dung Loi, had a limitation: it could only be used twice a day. Nevertheless, this was already incredibly powerful, a crucial life-saving escape method. Ding. Does the player wish to learn Thuan Tu Si Thien Lai? Learn. Ding. Congratulations, player has learned Thuan Tu Si Thien Lai. Having learned Thuan Tu Si Thien Lai, there were still 2 other cultivation arts remaining. Naturally, he wouldn't let them go. This Don Dia Thuat was also a top-grade, life-saving escape art. Don Dia Thuat *. Earth tier, 6th grade cultivation art that allows one to hide within the earth and move about freely. Ding. Congratulations, player has learned Don Dia Thuat. Then there was Lim Tu Si Thuat. For Dung Loi, learning this Lim Tu Si Thuat was actually unnecessary, because Dung Loi already possessed the Lim Tu Si ring. However, after some thought, he decided to learn it anyway. Though the Lim Tu Si ring was good, learning this Lim Tu Si Thuat had no downsides. Furthermore, the Lim Tu Si Thuat used by this martial emperor grand perfectionist Kim Not could even deceive a martial saint grand perfectionist. Thus, it seemed even more powerful than his own Lim Tu Si ring. However, unlike the Lim Tu Si ring, this Lim Tu Si Thuat could only conceal one's aura, and could not disguise one's cultivation realm, unlike the Lim Tu Si ring which could disguise him as any realm below his actual cultivation. If Lim Tu Si Thuat had such an ability, then he wouldn't need to use the Lim Tu Si ring. Having learned Lim Tu Si Thuat, Don Dia Thuat, and Thuan Tu Si Thien Lai, one could say that Dung Loi no longer feared anyone pursuing him. He wouldn't even fear a martial saint grand perfectionist. Of course, it would be difficult to escape from a martial god realm expert. Martial god realm experts possessed their own domains. Once a domain was activated and one was trapped within it, escaping would be exceedingly difficult. Tu Loi, what kind of weapon was that? So formidable? At this moment, Dung Vo Dike had walked over, looking at Dung Loi in surprise. He hadn't expected that this assassin, whom he himself absolutely could not have subdued in a short time, was clearly killed by Dung Loi using some item. It was evident how formidable this weapon was. Dung Loi, recovering from his pleasant surprise, said, "Grand Elder, this is the Bao Vu Lahoa Cham. I obtained it accidentally. Its power is immense, but it can only deal with those below the martial saint realm. Against a martial saint or anyone above, it would be useless." Dung Vo Dike naturally knew that although the rain-like poisonous needles of that hidden weapon were formidable, they could not penetrate his own body protecting true chi. Dung Vo Dike was very clear on this point. It has little effect against martial saints, but it poses a great threat to martial emperors. One could say that with this treasure, you would have virtually no opponents below the martial saint realm. However, you must not overly rely on external objects. This would be detrimental to your cultivation. Dung Vo Dike patted his shoulder and said, "I understand, Grand Elder." Dung Loi said with a smile. "Good that you understand," Dung Vo Dike said. "You possess the best talent our Dung family has ever seen. There is hope that you can surpass even our old ancestor. Therefore, we all hold you in high regard. If you need anything, just tell me, and I will do my best to satisfy you." Upon hearing this, Dung Loi couldn't help but feel a little awkward. He thought to himself, he didn't seem to be a member of the Dung family, nor did he possess the Dung family bloodline. Grand Elder, don't worry. If I need anything, I will certainly seek your help. Didn't they have Hatrek seek you out for assistance this time? Dung Loi said. Dung Vo Dike smiled and said, "That's how it should be. We are all family, there's no need for formalities." After Dung Vo Dike departed, Dung Loi once again opened his system interface. Ding. Congratulations, player has completed the Grade A assassination mission, killed Gold Tier Assassin Kim Thap Tam, killed Kim Thap, killed Kim Not, completion rate 100%, but due to external assistance, the evaluation rank is satisfactory. Mission rewards, 1 level promotion, player's cultivation realm increased from Martial King 3rd stage to Martial King 4th stage, accumulated points increased by 1 million, additionally rewarded with 1 special storyline mission card, and obtained a pair of Earth Tier, 9th grade Heaven's Heart gloves, and an Earth tier, 9th grade Shadow blade. The rewards were quite generous. 1 level promotion, 1 million accumulated points. Adding that up, Loi now had close to 3,100,000 accumulated points remaining. What caught his attention the most was that special storyline mission card. Loi had previously seen that storyline mission cards were divided into normal and special types. Special storyline mission cards offered rich rewards, and furthermore, allowed one to choose the storyline scene. Normal storyline mission cards did not have this option. Special storyline mission cards had to be obtained through special missions, not by exchanging accumulated points. This made Loi quite excited. Additionally, there were the Heaven's Heart gloves. These Heaven's Heart gloves were clearly a set with the Heaven's Heart armor he had previously obtained. Once complete, there was a high possibility of a miracle appearing. Finally, there was the Shadow blade. The Shadow blade was also a potent assassination weapon. Although it was only Earth tier, 9th grade, it was in no way inferior to the demon Shadow blade he had previously given Tao Tuna. This was because the Shadow blade possessed a powerful attribute: its blade was concealed and invisible, unless special methods were used to perceive it. This Shadow blade was somewhat similar to Thuan, one of the 10 great divine weapons. However, what relationship existed between this Shadow blade and the Thuan divine sword was unknown. There was no need for him to use this sword himself. Give it to Tao Tuna? Also no need, she already possessed the demon Shadow blade. Then to Ha Trek and Swan Mon? The Shadow blade was not suitable for either of the two girls. It seemed he would have to find a good owner for it later. Loi thought for a moment and put the Shadow blade away. What he anticipated the most was the special storyline mission card. He pressed open the card to inspect it. On the face of this mission card were 3 selectable storylines. The first was the Three Kingdoms storyline world, the second, the Condor Heroes storyline world, the third, the Fuck Vu Fien Van storyline world. The specific mission requirements would only be revealed after selecting a storyline world and activating the mission. Equals 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 Chapter 161. The Windcloud editions begin. This left Yang Lei feeling somewhat helpless. He simply had no time to undertake these missions right now. Thus, this plot mission card was temporarily set aside, to be completed only after the Windcloud editions concluded. The matter of the Golden Medal Assassin was no longer a concern, and Yang Bing had also been dealt with. The only ones who might still seek revenge were Yang Tianlei, Wang Kuwei, and Qian Wuyong. Among these, Qian Wuyong could be disregarded, leaving only Yang Tianlei and Wang Kuwei, or rather, Wang Kuwei and his father, Wang Zhenjuan. Yang Lei naturally knew who Yang Tianlei was. Besides him, another individual who might cause trouble was Yang Tianfeng's master, Mad Tiger. Yang Lei had indeed heard of this Mad Tiger. He was the leader of Black Tiger Mountain, currently a late-stage martial saint. With his backing, Black Tiger Mountain had attracted quite a number of experts. Though his influence couldn't compare to that of the 4 great clans, it far surpassed many other ordinary powers. Furthermore, Mad Tiger's Black Cloud Tiger was not 8th grade as Yang Qingshui had said, but had already reached 9th grade. With Yang Tianfeng's death, Mad Tiger would likely soon suspect him, making Mad Tiger a significant source of trouble. Additionally, there was another person of similar concern, Yang Tianlong, whom he had killed. Yang Tianlong's maternal grandfather was Talisman King Gu Wanyue. Gu Wanyue doted on Yang Tianlong endlessly, and his cultivation was exceptionally formidable. Though he hadn't reached late-stage martial saint like Mad Tiger, he was a mid-stage martial saint, and furthermore, a talisman master, a grandmaster-level talisman master capable of crafting Earth-rank 9th grade talismans. Therefore, his true strength even surpassed Mad Tiger's. If Gu Wanyue were to discover that he had killed Yang Tianlong, he would undoubtedly pursue the matter relentlessly, making it a life-and-death struggle. However, there was no news yet, which could mean the information had been suppressed, or they simply hadn't suspected him. But no matter what, paper couldn't wrap fire. Even if concealed for a time, the truth would eventually be exposed. Thus, he absolutely had to be wary of these 2 individuals. Nevertheless, he would deal with problems as they arose. There was no need to worry needlessly. What was meant to come would come. Yang Lei wasn't overly concerned, merely needing to be cautious. Half a month later. The Mystic Gate sect's Wind Cloud editions officially began in the Qianyuan Kingdom. Held once every 3 years, these Wind Cloud editions by the Mystic Gate sect were a major event for the Qianyuan Kingdom. Not only did cultivators from Qianyuan participate, but countless martial artists from other nations also joined in. The Mystic Gate sect's Wind Cloud editions had specific requirements. Firstly, participants must be under 30 years of age, and secondly, their cultivation must have reached the martial master realm to be eligible. Those who distinguished themselves in the Wind Cloud editions would be selected by the Mystic Gate sect to become outer disciples. Naturally, a select few outstanding individuals might be directly chosen by the elders to become their personal disciples, thus becoming inner disciples of the Mystic Gate sect. Inner disciples whose cultivation reached the martial saint realm would then become true disciples. Of course, not all disciples who achieved martial saint cultivation would become true disciples. They needed to reach the martial saint realm before the age of 40 to qualify. If one surpassed 40, then only by becoming a martial god would they be considered. Naturally, these specific rules were not publicly announced, for the waters of the Chongwu continent ran far deeper than they appeared on the surface. These Wind Cloud editions were held in the Grand Central Plaza of the Qianyuan Kingdom's imperial capital. The plaza, 300 meters long and 300 meters wide, had a statue of Qianyuan, the first national lord of the Qianyuan Kingdom, at its center. Incidentally, this Qianyuan was also a disciple of the Mystic Gate sect, and a genius of his generation at that. However, after founding the Qianyuan Kingdom, his cultivation found it difficult to advance even half a step. Ultimately, he failed to break through to the martial god realm, exhausting his lifespan and perishing. The Qianyuan Kingdom, in turn, became a major base for the Mystic Gate sect to select talents from the mundane world. The one sent to the Qianyuan Kingdom to conduct the auditions this time was Elder Tianyi of the Mystic Gate sect. Elder Tianyi was one of the Mystic Gate sect's 10 great elders, his cultivation unfathomably deep. At this moment, the imperial capital plaza of the Qianyuan Kingdom was teeming with people, all of whom had come to compete. Yang Lei walked neither fast nor slow, proceeding one step at a time. The people on either side were subtly pushed away by the invisible pressure he exuded. Following closely behind him was a young woman, none other than Yang Qingshui, who had been with Yang Lei and Yang Yu that day. After a few steps, he heard a girl in front calling his name. Yang Lei looked up and saw that it was indeed Gu Jing, old Gu's granddaughter. Seeing that Yang Lei had noticed her, Gu Jing waved her hand, then walked towards him. A few individuals who attempted to block her path were unhesitatingly brushed aside by Gu Jing. "Little brother Lei, why are you only just arriving now? I've been waiting for you for ages." Coming up to him, Gu Jing pouted slightly, her tone a little displeased. Hearing her call him little brother, Yang Lei said with a hint of resignation, "Gu Jing, you haven't won yet, remember? You're not supposed to call me little brother. It's going to happen sooner or later anyway. I'm just calling it early. You'll become my little brother eventually." Gu Jing said carelessly, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Big brother Yang, who is this young lady?" Yang Qingshui asked from the side. "My name is Gu Jing. You can just call me Sister Jing." "Are you little brother Lei's woman?" Gu Jing said casually. Yang Qingshui's face flushed crimson. Hearing this, Yang Lei quickly interjected, "Gu Jing, don't talk nonsense. Qingshui is my friend. Our relationship is perfectly innocent, not the kind you're imagining." Yang Qingshui, however, felt a faint flicker of disappointment at his explanation, though she quickly suppressed it, a fleeting spark in her eyes vanishing as quickly as it appeared. "So, your little sister is named Qingshui, huh?" Gu Jing took her hand and said, "If you ever have any trouble in the future, you can come to your big sister for help." "Thank you, Sister Jing. Rest assured, little sister Qingshui, with me here, you'll definitely be able to enter the Mystic Gate sect this time." Yang Lei was slightly surprised, and he looked at Gu Jing, saying, "Jing lass, you're boasting so much your bullhide's about to burst." "What boasting?" "Humph, isn't it just about entering the Mystic Gate sect? It's simple, really." Gu Jing, seeing Yang Lei clearly doubting her, couldn't help but glare at him, extremely displeased. Equals 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 Chapter 162, The Test of Willpower. 1. Air. Yang Lei was momentarily stunned by her demeanor, but then continued, "Since you're so confident, then tell us a little about the selection trials later. With so many people, if they're to be selected one by one, who knows what year and month it would take to finish? Yang Lei did a quick mental calculation. The total number of people participating in this selection amounted to nearly 8,000. Yet, out of these 8,000, only a dozen or so would ultimately be admitted into the Xuanji sect. It seemed the maximum number never exceeded 20 in a single round. This clearly showed the Xuanji sect's high demands for its disciples, making this grand selection for a chance to enter the sect extremely brutal. This couldn't help but remind Yang Lei of the university entrance exams on Earth. Back then, the acceptance rate for university was also extremely low, but it wasn't quite this absurd. A dozen people out of 8,000 talents, the probability was truly frighteningly low. Of course not like that. The first round of selection can be completed very quickly, taking at most just 1 day, Gu Jing explained after hearing Yang Lei's question. 1 day? To complete the first round of selection? That's a bit too fast, isn't it? You know, this is over 8,000 people. Yang Lei asked, a hint of disbelief in his voice. That's right, Sister Jing. That's impossible. 8,000 people, going through step by step, there's no way it could be completed in a single day. Yang Qingshui also expressed her doubt. How is it impossible? In fact, it won't even take a full day, Gu Jing said, glancing at the two of them. Seeing Gu Jing's confidence, Yang Lei knew that she had an extraordinary background. She and Elder Gu likely had a close connection to the Xuanji sect, so he actually believed her words to some extent. It won't even take a day? Could it be a direct test of innate talent? Gu Jing shook her head. No, how could it simply be a test of innate talent? Those who can reach the martial master realm before the age of 30 all possess decent innate talent. Moreover, while the Xuanji sect's requirements for innate talent are high, it is not the sole criterion for selecting disciples. Then what is the Xuanji sect's criterion for selecting disciples? Yang Lei pressed on. Cultivation. Yang Lei rolled his eyes. Wasn't that just stating the obvious? There was already an age limit, and the higher one's cultivation, the better their innate talent was likely to be. Wasn't that pretty much the same thing? What's the difference between that and innate talent? Of course there's a difference. Someone with high cultivation doesn't necessarily have the best innate talent. Conversely, someone with good innate talent doesn't necessarily have high cultivation. This involves two other factors, one is fortuitous encounters, and the other is whether that person works hard enough. Gu Jing looked at him as if he were an idiot. Yang Lei couldn't help but fall silent, feeling scorned. However, what she said was indeed the truth. Cultivation was not only related to innate talent, but also to fortuitous encounters and cultivation time. The more diligent a cultivator, the naturally higher their cultivation progress. As for fortuitous encounters, luck, and destiny, those were all mysterious and inexplicable things that could only be encountered, not sought. Then how can the first batch of people be selected within a single day? We'll put them under pressure. We'll see how long they can endure and how strong their willpower is. The 1,000 who persevere to the very end can enter the next round of selection, Gu Jing explained. This would still be difficult to select within a single day, Yang Lei was stunned. Even if it was a test of endurance and willpower, it wouldn't be easy to test over 8,000 people like that. Gu Jing heard him and said, how foolish. The Xuanji sect elders who come here all bring an immortal artifact. They'll draw everyone into the immortal artifact, then the immortal artifact will exert pressure. The pressure will grow progressively stronger. Those who cannot endure, who cannot withstand it, will automatically be expelled by the immortal artifact. In that case, they will be considered eliminated. Immortal artifact. Over 8,000 people entering simultaneously. Yang Lei couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. Such an immortal artifact must be of a very high grade. This Xuanji sect truly possessed grand might. An immortal artifact simultaneously taking in over 8,000 people for a test, it was indeed powerful, worthy of being a great immortal Dao sect. Of course, over 8,000 people are merely a trifle. Even if there were twice as many, or 10 times as many, there wouldn't be any problem, Gu Jing added. That's amazing, Yang Qingshui praised from the bottom of her heart filled with endless admiration, longing even more for the Xuanji sect. Although Yang Lei was shocked internally, he merely smiled on the surface. Immortal artifacts, he would acquire immortal artifacts sooner or later. Moreover, he possessed something far more powerful than any immortal artifact, that was the omnipotent cultivation system. As the saying goes, with the system in hand, the world is mine. With the system, what were immortal artifacts or Dharma treasures? He would have them all eventually. Let's go, the test is about to begin. At this moment, Gu Jing urged. The three of them moved forward, quickly pushing their way to the front. They could now clearly see the individuals overseeing the Xuanji sect's selection. Leading them was Elder Tianyi. Besides him, there were 2 men and 1 woman. One was a middle-aged man, another appeared ancient in demeanor but possessed the bearing of an immortal master, and as for the woman, she was a beautiful madam. Do you see them? Those 3 are all Xuanji sect deacons. Their cultivation levels are all at the martial saint great perfection realm, just a step away from entering the divine stage. Once they enter the divine stage, they can become sect protectors, Gu Jing explained to Yang Lei and Yang Qingshui. Yang Lei was thinking to himself that Gu Jing knew the Xuanji sect so well. It seemed she was originally a member of the Xuanji sect, and Elder Gu, he surmised, was likely an elder of the Xuanji sect. Sister Jing, you certainly know a lot, Yang Qingshui said, looking at Gu Jing. Naturally, Gu Jing said, raising her eyebrows with a hint of pride. At this moment, Elder Tianyi simply waved his hand, and the bustling square instantly fell silent. This time, my Xuanji sect's selection trials begin. In every selection, my Xuanji sect will choose the most outstanding individuals among you to become my Xuanji sect's disciples. The number of successful candidates is not high. There are currently 8,632 of you, but the maximum number of selected individuals will not exceed 30. In other words, from these 8,632 people, I will select 30 to enter the Xuanji sect. Chapter 163, Test of Willpower. 2. Elder Tianyi swept his gaze across the crowd and spoke. Yang Lei, on the other hand, felt a touch of annoyance. Hadn't Gu Jing previously mentioned 20 people? How had it suddenly become 30? Yang Lei glanced at Gu Jing, who shook her head. I don't know either. Perhaps my grandfather does. Seeing her response, Yang Lei could only drop the matter. However, for some, this was a tremendous boon. More people selected meant more opportunities for them. Among these 30 individuals, some might become inner sect disciples, some might even ascend to true legacy disciples, and of course, some might merely be outer sect disciples. All of this depends on your hard work, and naturally, a measure of fortuitous chance. Our Xuanji sect's selection process is exceptionally rigorous, even for outer sect disciples. Regardless of whether you manage to become a disciple of my Xuanji sect, I hope none of you will lose heart. If you don't succeed this time, there will always be another opportunity. Enough talk. I shall now directly explain the details of this selection. This selection will proceed in 3 rounds. The first round will select 1,000 individuals from your group of over 8,000. The second round will then choose 100 from those remaining 1,000. The final round will select 30 from the remaining 100, these 30 will become outer sect disciples. Elder Tianyi spoke, his gaze sweeping over the more than 8,000 individuals below him. The first round of selection begins now. This round is a test of willpower and endurance. The 1,000 individuals who can persevere until the end will be chosen, those who cannot will be eliminated. Now, cease all resistance. I will draw all of you into an alternate space. Within this space, the pressure will steadily intensify. Should you be unable to withstand the pressure, you will be expelled. This means that anyone expelled will be considered to have failed. Elder Tianyi surveyed his surroundings. Is it clear now? We understand. Everyone shouted in unison, their voices deafening. Elder Tianyi nodded slightly. Good, that it's clear. Now, relax your bodies, offer no resistance, and I shall draw you into the alternate space. Then, Elder Tianyi swept his hand. Everyone felt their vision go dark for an instant, immediately reappearing within a grand palace. This palace was immense, even 8,000 people standing within it seemed to leave it exceptionally spacious. Yang Lei sensed his surroundings. Asterisk, is this the interior of an immortal artifact? This immortal artifact is truly formidable. Asterisk, Yang Lei activated his true eagle eyes and discovered that the interior of this immortal artifact was incredibly vast. The palace where everyone stood was merely the tip of an iceberg, not even a 10,000th of the entire immortal artifact's interior. One could imagine its immense scale. This was practically a minor world unto itself. Soon, everyone adapted. The pressure within the grand hall gradually began to increase. However, for Yang Lei, this was nothing noteworthy. Having cultivated the iron cloth shirt, he barely registered such minor pressure. Naturally, this pressure wasn't solely physical, it also encompassed mental pressure. Yet, Yang Lei cultivated the ice heart art, his spiritual energy far surpassing ordinary individuals, even comparable to a martial emperor expert. Thus, this degree of pressure was merely a trifle. Looking at Gu Jing beside him, she too appeared unbothered, utterly serene. Yang Lei understood clearly that Gu Jing's cultivation was at the 4th stage martial sovereign, such pressure would not even register with her. However, Yang Qingshui might face a slight challenge. Of course, the pressure wasn't particularly immense yet, so Yang Qingshui could still persevere. After all, Yang Qingshui was still at the martial king realm. When Yang Lei had emerged from the void illusion cavern and met Yang Qingshui, her cultivation was at the 1st stage martial king. Now, after some time had passed, her cultivation had entered the 2nd stage martial king, and she would soon be able to break through to the 3rd stage martial king. Scanning his surroundings, in this short span of time, barely 10 minutes, quite a few individuals had already been eliminated. Many remaining were drenched in sweat, yet they gritted their teeth and persevered. However, Yang Lei clearly understood that they wouldn't last much longer. Sure enough, less than a minute later, the figures of several individuals vanished from the grand hall. Within this grand hall, several individuals remained as unperturbed and serene as Yang Lei and Gu Jing. Among them was the Zhao family's eldest son, Zhao Yuanshan, also known as Zhao Xiaohuan. He was 22 years old, with a cultivation of 3rd stage martial sovereign. Another was someone Yang Lei was acquainted with, Dongfeng Xiaodao, younger brother of Dongfeng Xiaoyu from the Dongfeng family. He was 21 years old, also with a cultivation of 3rd stage martial sovereign. Furthermore, there were 4 other noteworthy individuals. One was from the imperial Qian family, named Qian Wujing, 21 years old, at the grand perfection stage of martial king. Another was Wan Gang from the Wan family, 20 years old, also at the grand perfection stage of martial king. Among the 2 remaining, one was from the Gu family, a grandchild of Prince Fu Gu Wanyue. No, it should be granddaughter, Gu Zian. She was disguised as a man, and had Yang Lei not possessed his true eagle eyes, capable of seeing through all disguises, he might not have discerned it. Gu Zian, 18 years old, with a cultivation of 2nd stage martial sovereign, was truly a genius. Her root bones reached 11, and she possessed the rare mutated lightning attribute root bones. With such root bones and innate talent, becoming an inner sect disciple was a foregone conclusion. Furthermore, becoming a true legacy disciple would not be difficult. With a little cultivation, she could absolutely achieve martial saint within 10 years, perhaps even 5 years would be enough to reach such a realm. Yang Lei understood clearly that within the Xuanji sect, talent of this caliber would surely be the object of desire for all great elders, each vying to take her as a disciple. Mutated attributes were already rare, let alone mutated attributes of such high caliber. The last individual possessed a dark attribute, with a very high cultivation, having reached the 4th stage martial sovereign at 19 years old. His name was Zhou Yu. However, what puzzled Yang Lei was that his appraisal technique couldn't discern Zhou Yu's origins at all, it only showed a series of question marks. This suggested that Zhou Yu was by no means a simple character. Of course, apart from these exceptional individuals who caught Yang Lei's attention, there were others who were also quite good, appearing relatively at ease. However, compared to these 6, they were a step below. Equals 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 Chapter 164, the second selection round. 1. Meanwhile, among the few eliminated individuals, Yang Lei used his appraisal art to examine them. He discovered that several possessed excellent innate talent, with 2 even having 10-star root bones. Yet, they couldn't withstand the pressure. Yang Lei realized that although these individuals had remarkable talent, they were lazy in their cultivation, thus squandering their superior aptitude in vain. This phenomenon clearly demonstrated that while innate talent was undoubtedly important, diligent cultivation was even more crucial. Without endurance and unwavering resolve, even good talent would become worthless. Half an hour later, over 2,000 participants remained, a full 3/4 having been eliminated. The cultivation of these 2,000+ individuals was all at Martial Master 7th stage or above. Essentially, those who had stepped into the Martial King realm could endure, though naturally, a small number of Martial Master realm cultivators also persisted. The pressure continued to intensify. Even Yang Lei felt a slight strain at this point, but for those at the Martial Master realm, the pressure was even greater. Each of them was already drenched in sweat, as if thousands upon thousands of pounds were pressing down on their backs. Their faces were flushed crimson, like they were being steamed alive in a cage. During this process, some occasionally collapsed from the unbearable strain, naturally being sent out directly. Of course, quite a few, unable to bear it, simply gave up. Most of those who voluntarily forfeited were scions from influential families, accustomed to a life of indulgence. Their cultivation realms were largely propped up by medicinal resources, never having experienced the arduous effort of self-cultivation. Naturally, they couldn't persevere. Soon, the vast palace became sparse, with 8,000 participants rapidly dwindling to just over 1,000. These 1,000+ individuals were the elite among the initial 8,000. The weakest among them had cultivation at Martial Master 8th stage, but their numbers continued to decrease. Yang Lei understood clearly that these remaining 1,000 participants likely possessed cultivation at Martial Master 9th stage or above. Those at 8th stage would continue to be eliminated. Another half-hour passed, and quite a few more were eliminated from the remaining 1,000. Yang Lei observed that there were almost no participants left at the Martial Master 8th stage cultivation. Just then, the pressure abruptly vanished, leaving the remaining participants slightly disoriented. Yang Lei felt the scene suddenly shift. The previous palace vanished, and everyone appeared on a landmass, with a vast forest stretching before them. Elder Tianyi, meanwhile, floated in the air. The first round of selection is complete. 1,000 individuals are the standouts chosen from over 8,000. Upon hearing that the first selection round was completed and they had passed, everyone was exceedingly joyful. Even Yang Qingshui's joy was evident without needing to be stated. However, Gu Jing remained indifferent. Yang Lei's expression was calm, but inwardly, he was speculating what this second selection round entailed. With 1,000 people still remaining and only 100 to be chosen, it would still take considerable time. However, do not rejoice too soon, thinking that passing this round means all will be well. What comes next is the true test. From your 1,100 individuals must be selected to advance to the next round. Tianyi stretched out a hand towards the dense forest ahead and said, "Do you see this forest? Your objective this time lies within it. What you must do is enter the forest and find spirit stones like the one in my hand. The more such spirit stones you acquire, the more accumulated points you will gain, and thus your ranking will be higher. The top 100 will proceed to the next round. Do you understand now?" "Understood." Everyone shouted in unison. But at this moment, a unique voice, unlike the others, spoke up. "May I ask if any method is permissible? Is it also acceptable to seize from others?" Yang Lei looked over. The speaker was indeed Gu Ziyan. Many expected this young man to be reprimanded, but surprisingly, Elder Tianyi merely smiled and nodded slightly. "Yes, any method is permissible. We only care about the final ranking. Naturally, during this process, anyone killed will automatically be ejected from this space. If one is killed, does that mean they are truly dead?" Seeing that Gu Ziyan wasn't punished or rebuked, another person, emboldened, looked up at Elder Tianyi and asked. "No, if you are killed here, you will simply be directly ejected from this space, with no danger to your life." Elder Tianyi explained. Hearing these words, Yang Lei secretly clicked his tongue in amazement. He hadn't expected this immortal artifact to be so powerful, possessing such unique functions. If one could spar and train here, wouldn't it be incredibly delightful? Challenging higher-level cultivators here could cause one's combat experience and realm comprehension to soar, truly an excellent cultivation treasure. If one could find guidance here and engage in life and death challenges, then even with poor talent, anyone could break through to the Martial Emperor realm within 10 years. However, Yang Lei was somewhat mistaken. While training here indeed eliminated the worry of life and death, true advancement in realm, achieved on the brink of genuine life and death combat, was what benefited cultivation the most. Here, with no genuine concern for mortality, one fundamentally couldn't experience the so-called brink of life and death. Thus, it could at most enhance combat experience and techniques slightly, but profound insights would be impossible. Furthermore, activating such an immortal artifact once consumed an enormous amount of energy. This was why the Profound Mystery sect only held disciple selections once every 3 years. Too frequent activations were simply unsustainable. Then I am at ease. The person nodded and said. At this explanation, everyone immediately began to chatter. The ability to use any method, as long as enough spirit stones were acquired, offered many a shortcut. It meant one merely needed to snatch others' gains, without having to exert oneself. Yang Lei, however, paid no mind to this. He hadn't planned on desperately searching for these spirit stones himself. Of course, with his true eagle eyes, finding these spirit stones was far too easy. With his true eagle eyes activated, he wouldn't need to scour every corner like others, he could simply walk over and pick them up. Furthermore, all your accumulated points and rankings will be recorded here. Elder Tiani waved his hand, and a massive white jade steel materialized out of thin air on the open ground before them, displaying everyone's information. Equals 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 Chapter 165, the second selection round. 2. The names of the top 100 were all marked in crimson, instantly discernible. The colossal stone tablet stood tall, its markings clearly visible even from afar. Then, Elder Tiani waved his hand once more, and everyone felt an object materialize in their palms, a jade token. Check your hands to see if you possess a jade token. This token serves as proof of your identity, recording your unique aura. Once you acquire spirit stones, place them within it. The token will then display your current tally of spirit stones collected and your corresponding rank. Naturally, should you be slain, half of your spirit stones will automatically transfer to your killer, while the remaining half will count as your final score before you are expelled from this trial space. 10 days from now, if your spirit stone count still places you among the top 100, you will advance to the next round. Very well, are there any further questions? Elder Tiani queried again. If not, then let the trial commence. Remember, you have 10 days. In 10 days, everyone will be teleported back to this very spot. Good luck, younglings. With that pronouncement, Elder Tiani's figure dissipated into thin air before everyone's eyes, leaving behind only a lingering echo. The instant Elder Tiani departed, everyone surged forth frantically, scrambling into the dense forest. 1,000 individuals charging forward as one created an astonishing surge of momentum. Yet Yang Lei and his companion showed no hint of urgency. A few others, like Dongfang Xiaodao, mirrored their calm. To enter. First did not guarantee acquiring more spirit stones, moreover, merely acquiring them first did not guarantee one could keep them. As the main contingent poured in, Dongfang Xiaodao, Zhao Xiaohuan, and their groups followed. Let us proceed as well. Yang Lei remarked, glancing at Gu Jing and Yang Qingshui. Gu Jing and Yang Qingshui nodded in agreement. The trio advanced together. The trees here towered immensely, each trunk so thick it would take several people to encircle it. If found on Earth, each would be a colossal specimen. Of course, most of the arboreal species here were nameless. Yang Lei harbored deep suspicions, wondering if these things were truly real, or merely conjured illusions. Activating his true sight eagle eye, he swept his gaze across the surroundings for a moment. He pinpointed a direction where spirit stones were most abundant and surprisingly close, yet utterly untouched by other seekers. A faint smile played on Yang Lei's lips. Let's explore this direction. This way? Shouldn't we delve deeper? What spirit stones could possibly be found here? Gu Jing asked, startled. Trust me, Yang Lei replied with a chuckle. You won't be disappointed. Besides, even if by some slim chance there are none, wouldn't we still have our own unique methods? Alright, I'll trust you. After all, making it into the top 100 is simple enough, the true challenge lies in the final selection round. Gu Jing conceded with a nod. As for Yang Qingshui, she implicitly deferred to Yang Lei's judgment in all matters, offering no dissent. The trio followed the direction Yang Lei indicated. This area was remarkably close to the starting point, which was precisely why no one had bothered to search it, instead opting to delve deeper. Yang Lei, however, with his true sight eagle eye, had uncovered a vast hoard of hidden spirit stones here, numbering in the tens of thousands. While Yang Lei didn't know the exact total of spirit stones scattered throughout this entire space, he was certain that several tens of thousands was by no means a paltry sum. For the three of them, acquiring this many spirit stones would be more than sufficient to secure a place within the top 100 rankings. Approximately 10 minutes later, Yang Lei unearthed the first spirit stone. See? Here's a spirit stone. There should be quite a few more in this vicinity. Indeed. There's another one right here. I found one too, no, two. Gu Jing exclaimed, her voice brimming with excitement as she scooped up the spirit stones. I hadn't expected you truly possessed such peculiar methods. There are so many here. Not far off, Yang Qingshui cried out again. Search carefully, they seem to be everywhere in this area. Yang Lei instructed. The trio then commenced their search. Yang Lei, however, kept his true sight eagle eye active. He moved through the area, disregarding isolated stones, intent on locating the large veins and clusters. 4 hours later, the spirit stones in Yang Lei's possession had swelled to 32,615, corresponding to 32,615 points, placing him squarely at the top of the leaderboard. This was merely 4 hours into the trial. Unsurprisingly, Gu Jing ranked second, having accumulated a total of 8,742 stones, while Yang Qingshui held the third position with 7,421 stones. How do you possess such an exorbitant amount? Gu Jing stared at Yang Lei in utter disbelief as he declared his tally. You jest, surely? Over 30,000? I've spent just as long and only managed a little over 8,000. How could you possibly have garnered over 30,000? Yang Lei merely chuckled and said, why would I deceive you? What purpose would it serve? Yang Qingshui, too, bore a countenance of complete disbelief. No, I don't believe it. Unless you reveal your jade token for me to see with my own eyes. Gu Jing demanded. Seeing her persistence, Yang Lei had no recourse but to retrieve his jade token. Gu Jing snatched it, her eyes widening as she examined it. Indeed, it displayed 32,615 stones, not a single word had been a lie. Monstrous. Truly monstrous. We were searching together, how could you have unearthed such a staggering number? Gu Jing was overwhelmed with vexation. Yang Lei's tally was a full 3 times hers. A difference of 1 or 2,000 would be negligible, but a disparity of over 20,000 stones was simply astonishing. After 4 hours, this particular area had been thoroughly scoured, leaving almost nothing behind. Any remaining stones were merely a few scattered remnants, which Yang Lei found utterly beneath his notice. Let's move on, Yang Lei said, putting away his jade token. There's likely nothing left here. We should search elsewhere. Are we going to check that direction? Gu Jing asked, pointing ahead. Yang Qingshui likewise looked at Yang Lei. In their estimation, since this spot had yielded so much, the area just ahead, not far from where they had been, should logically also contain spirit stones. Yang Lei, however, shook his head. No, I sense nothing further ahead, he stated. We must delve deeper into the forest to continue our search. Yang Lei had already surveyed that area with his true sight eagle eye earlier. There were virtually no spirit stones, but there was indeed a trap. Should a martial king realm expert venture there, they would likely find themselves in dire straits. The area harbored demonic beasts, specifically a peak 6th grade demonic beast, and not just one. Moreover, they were capable of setting traps. It was clear there was a powerful entity residing within, though Yang Lei hadn't fully discerned its nature. Thus, Yang Lei had no intention of seeking trouble in that direction. If we're not going, then we're not going, Gu Jing muttered, trailing behind Yang Lei. Equals 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 Chapter 166, The Might of the Flying Blade. 1. As they journeyed, seeing Gu Jing still sulking, Yang Lei couldn't help but say, Jing lass, it's not that I don't want to go. We can't afford to provoke the creatures over there. If we're not careful, all 3 of us might end up leaving our lives there. Besides, there really aren't any spirit stones to be found in that direction. What do you mean, can't afford to provoke? Is there anyone among these 1,000 people who can withstand the combined force of the 2 of us? Gu Jing retorted. Yang Lei said, naturally, among these 1,000 people, no one can withstand the combined force of the 2 of us. Not even someone who could contend with me alone exists. but what I said doesn't just refer to these 1,000 people. Are there no other creatures here apart from us 1,000 people? Ah, you mean? Of course. Surely you don't mean you're ignorant of this? Yang Lei asked, looking at Gu Jing with a hint of surprise. How could I not know? I merely forgot for a moment. Gu Jing, hearing this, stubbornly defended herself. Hearing Yang Lei's words, she naturally sensed the aura of demon beasts over there, knowing Yang Lei spoke no false words. There truly were high-level demon beasts in that direction. The three of them had already far surpassed others today. There was no need to engage in a major battle with those demon beasts for a few spirit stones. Such an expenditure would be unwarranted. Yang Lei chuckled and said nothing. Where are we going now? Gu Jing asked, seeing Yang Lei remain silent. One had to admit, following Yang Lei was the right choice. If it hadn't been for his persistence earlier, how could they have had such a bountiful harvest? We'll continue deeper. Yang Lei used his true sight eagle eyes to scan. There weren't many spirit stones nearby. There were some, but they were extremely sparse, at most a mere dozen or so. Yang Lei didn't want to waste time. Alright, I'll listen to you, Gu Jing said. The three continued their journey, occasionally picking up a few spirit stones along the way. Meanwhile, in another spatial realm. These three little rascals are truly impressive, ah. In less than a day, they've clearly collected so many spirit stones. Especially that lad called Yang Lei, he actually accumulated over 30,000. Excellent, he's even stronger than I was back in my day. The middle-aged man among the three sect stewards said, looking at the points ranking board. That lad is no simple fellow, ah. He's someone Elder Zhang Yi holds in high regard, and Elder Gu also thinks highly of him. Haven't you seen Jing last with him? Elder Tiani said, looking at Li Yan. Young Miss Jing? Li Yan stammered in shock. He had naturally heard of the identities of Gu Jing and Elder Gu, but he simply didn't have the qualifications to approach them. Among the four of them, only Elder Tiani possessed such qualifications. From this, one could see how high Gu Jing's status was within the mystic mechanism sect. Indeed, that is Jing Lass. Her relationship with Yang Lei seems to be quite good. And regarding Yang Lei, Elder Zhang Yi has already given instructions. Once he enters the sect, he is to be sent directly to Elder Zhang Yi's residence, Tiani said. As for you all, if you can curry favor with them, there will still be benefits for you in the future. It wasn't just them, even Tiani wanted to curry favor, ah. Although Tiani was also an elder of the mystic mechanism sect, he was still far inferior to Elder Gu and Elder Zhang Yi. The three nodded in unison upon hearing this. Although they were sect stewards, they were merely stewards. Their status was only slightly higher than some inner sect disciples, and even somewhat inferior to some true disciples. Now, to a different narrative. We've already walked so far, yet we haven't encountered any spirit stones, nor have we seen anyone. Almost an hour had passed, but they had only found a few spirit stones and still hadn't encountered anyone. Gu Jing felt a bit disgruntled. Did you perhaps lead us in the wrong direction? Otherwise, we might be overtaken by others. Haha, don't worry. It's extremely difficult to surpass us. On the off chance we are overtaken, I'll give you my spirit stones, alright? Yang Lei said with a smile. You mean it? Gu Jing, hearing this, laughed happily and said, Little sister Qing Shui, you must bear witness for me, bear witness, ah. Of course, it's true. Yang Lei was utterly confident about this. Joking aside, who could possibly be faster than his true sight eagle eyes? That was impossible. Once his true sight eagle eyes swept across an area, the places with the most spirit stones would be completely revealed before him. Yang Lei had already surveyed this area. Not far away was a region densely packed with spirit stones. However, there was a demon beast there, a 7th level demon beast, a black flame tiger lion beast. Let's go, we'll head this way. Not far from here, there's a large quantity of spirit stones, Yang Lei said. Although the spirit stones weren't as numerous as in the previous location, there were still about 10 to 20,000. However, they would first need to deal with that black flame tiger lion beast. Over there really are some? It seems there's a 7th level demon beast there? Gu Jing said, subtly furrowing her brows. Just a mere 7th level demon beast. Are you afraid? But if you truly are afraid, then we won't go. Yang Lei said, looking at her. It said that to invite a general is not as good as to provoke one. With Gu Jing's personality, a single provocation would surely make her charge straight in and decisively defeat the black flame tiger lion beast. Afraid? Me, afraid? What a joke. I, Gu Jing, have never known what fear is. As expected, upon hearing Yang Lei's words, Gu Jing said loudly. I'll go first. That measly little 7th level demon beast, watch how I swiftly defeat it, humph. With that said, Gu Jing gripped her treasured sword and strode forward, huffing. Brother Yang, you're really cunning. Yang Qingshui saw that Gu Jing had successfully fallen for the provocation, and couldn't help but cover her mouth and chuckle. How am I cunning? You can't just speak carelessly like that. Be careful, or I'll accuse you of slander. Yang Lei said with a straight face. At this moment, Yang Qingshui looked ahead and could no longer see Gu Jing's figure. Somewhat worried, she said, Brother Yang, we should still hurry over. On the off chance something happens to Sister Jing, that wouldn't be good. Don't worry, nothing will happen to her. Yang Lei knew clearly that Gu Jing was no weakling. Although that black flame tiger lion beast was powerful, it might not necessarily be able to injure Gu Jing. It's still better to be careful, Yang Qingshui said. Yang Lei nodded lightly. Indeed, if any unexpected incident occurred, it wouldn't be good for him to explain it to Elder Gu. Thus, he quickened his pace. Very soon, Yang Lei and Yang Qingshui arrived at the territory of the black flame tiger lion beast. At this moment, Gu Jing was already locked in fierce combat with the black flame tiger lion beast. Chapter 167, The Might of the Flying Dagger. 2. Ko Tin, wielding her longsword, instead revealed a heroic and imposing stance. Streaks of sword chi ceaselessly assailed the black flame tiger lion beast. Each strike was followed by a retreat, denying the beast any opportunity to counterattack her. It had to be said, Ko Tin's movement technique was truly remarkable, stirring a hint of envy in Yang Lei. While he was confident he could achieve similar feats, his movements would never be as graceful and effortless as hers. Roar, roar. The black flame tiger lion beast seemed to be enraged. It roared twice, then its wide maw opened, spitting a stream of black flame towards Ko Tin. Immediately after, it abruptly accelerated, pouncing towards Ko Tin with a speed that was many times faster than before. Witnessing this, Yang Qingshui couldn't help but gasp. Ko Tin, preoccupied with dodging the black flame, failed to notice the tiger lion beast rapidly charging at her from the side. By the time she reacted, it was too late, the enormous tiger claw was about to descend upon her pristine white neck. But at that critical moment, a streak of white light suddenly flashed, striking the black flame tiger lion beast. A flying dagger. The literally flying dagger. This literally flying dagger, whose reputation for never missing its mark, was not just a saying, but an absolute truth. Its speed was instantaneous, striking the tiger lion beast and leaving it utterly incapable of reaction. Ding. Literally flying dagger activates instant kill. Ding. Congratulations, player, for slaying a 7th level black flame tiger lion beast. EXP plus 5 million, chi value plus 50,000, accumulation points plus 50,000. Ding. Congratulations, player, for obtaining 1 7th level demon core. Ding. Congratulations, player, for obtaining black flame. Having slain the black flame tiger lion beast, Yang Lei hurriedly rushed to Ko Tin's side. At this moment, she seemed quite shaken. Observing her state, Yang Lei understood, her inexperience was the cause. Otherwise, with her formidable strength, dealing with this black flame tiger lion beast would have posed no problem at all. Are you all right? Yang Lei asked with concern. Wah. You scared me half to death. Ko Tin then threw herself into Yang Lei's embrace. It's all right now, it's all right, Yang Lei gently patted her back, comforting her. But in his heart, he mused, that girl was truly terrified. At the brink of life and death, had he not been there, she might genuinely have been killed, though, in this space, it would only mean being ejected, however, Yang Lei was a little perplexed. This space might be illusory, yet by slaying the black flame tiger lion beast, he had gained EXP and accumulation points, and even obtained a demon core and the black flame. Yang Lei hadn't had a chance to examine what this black flame specifically was, but since the system had given him a notification, it proved that these gains were definitely real. If that was the case, then this immortal artifact was truly powerful beyond measure. He wondered what principle it operated on, how the various restrictions, formations, and talismans within it were crafted. If he possessed such an item, he would be even more formidable. It's alright, that black flame tiger lion beast has already been slain by me. Truly slain? After a long moment, Ko Tin finally looked at Yang Lei and asked. Yang Lei nodded. Ah. But immediately after, Ko Tin let out a shriek and pushed Yang Lei away. You lecher, you actually took advantage of me. You scoundrel, you clearly exploited my moment of vulnerability, you. Hearing this, Yang Lei's face instantly darkened with exasperation. He had clearly become a lecher, accused of exploiting her vulnerability. He broke out in a cold sweat, thinking inwardly, wasn't it you who threw yourself into my embrace? You initiated it, Yang Lei felt utterly wronged. Ko Tin, little Tin, you were the one who threw yourself into my arms and hugged me, weren't you? This? How could that be? How could I possibly hug you? Ko Tin's face flushed slightly, but she continued to protest. This was like a scholar encountering a soldier, reasoning was utterly useless. To argue logic or verbally spar with a woman was simply courting death. So, Yang Lei wisely chose to change the subject. Alright, it was my fault. How do you want to deal with this black flame tiger lion beast now? Yang Lei pointed to the black flame tiger lion beast's corpse. Do you want its demon core? I'll retrieve it for you. With that, Yang Lei cracked open the tiger lion beast's head and extracted the demon core he had obtained. Performing such an act was not new to Yang Lei, and he could naturally hide his true methods from the two women. I want to torture its corpse. This bastard beast, it actually dared to scare this young lady. I was almost caught by it. With that, Ko Tin seized her precious sword and began furiously hacking at the tiger lion beast's body. With relentless abandon, she chopped the beast's corpse to pieces in an instant, leaving it utterly unrecognizable. In his heart, Yang Lei silently mourned for the beast, brother tiger lion beast, of all people to offend, why did you have to offend this little miss? Now you're dead, and still have to suffer corpse torture. How truly tragic at this moment, Yang Lei had conveniently forgotten that he was the true instigator. If he hadn't provoked her, would Ko Tin have sought trouble with this black flame tiger lion beast? Would any of this have even happened? If this tiger lion beast had a spirit, it would probably rise from the dead to haunt Yang Lei. Alright, this fellow has been punished enough, and its corpse has been hacked beyond recognition. I think that's quite enough. In truth, Yang Lei was inwardly pained. This black flame tiger lion beast was a treasure from head to tail. If taken back, it could be exchanged for many good things. At the very least, its hide could be fashioned into leather armor or cloaks, and its tiger sinews, tiger bones, and so on were all top-grade materials. Although Yang Lei had already obtained the boundless ring, which contained no small number of treasures, no one ever complained about having too much wealth. For resources and money, naturally, the more the better. However, with the black flame tiger lion beast's corpse now utterly unrecognizable, taking it would be pointless. Furthermore, given the current circumstances, even if it were useful, he wouldn't bother with it. Alright, you said there were spirit stones here. So, where are they? If there aren't any, Ko Tin humphed. Her previous embarrassment had left her with a slight playful peek towards Yang Lei. Yang Lei couldn't help but chuckle. Though Ko Tin was older than him and had cultivated to the 4th stage of martial emperor, she was no different from an ordinary young girl, prone to playful little tantrums. The spirit stones are right over there, not far at all. This time, I guarantee a great harvest. While not as abundant as before, there's still a considerable amount. Each person can expect at least 4,000, absolutely no less. Yang Lei pointed forward as he spoke. Equals 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 Chapter 168, Corrosive Venom Bloodsucking Bats. 1. Half believing, half doubting, Gu Jing walked towards the indicated direction. A short while later, exclamations of surprise echoed. There really are some, and so many. Here's 1, 2, 3. Wow, 15, 30, there are clearly more than 60. And there are still so many more. Qing Shui Mimi, come quickly. But little Lady Didi, you're not allowed to come. These are all mine and Qing Shui Mimi's. You go search somewhere else. Yang Lei couldn't help but shake his head. Though Gu Jing had found many, it wasn't the largest stash. Naturally, Yang Lei wanted to go to the place with the most to collect. More than 30 meters away from Gu Jing and the other girl, there was an even larger cache, amounting to several thousand stones. Yang Lei smiled lightly and headed in that direction. 2 hours later, the three of them had swept the area clean, not leaving a single spirit stone behind. Wow, little Lady Didi really hit the nail on the head this time. I actually found 6,000 spirit stones. That's more than 15,000 in total? Gu Jing's face bloomed into a smile. Little Lady Didi, how many did you find this time? Qing Shui Mimi also found over 5,000, almost 6,000. If you found too few, it would be quite embarrassing for you. Yang Lei merely smiled. How could I possibly have less than you? How about we make a bet? If I found more than you, then you'll call me Yang Dage. If I'm outdone by you, then I'll call you Jingjia. No way. Gu Jing was startled, then shook her head. Seeing Yang Lei's confident demeanor, a sense of uncertainty settled in her heart. After all, Yang Lei was the one who had located all these spirit stones, wherever they might be. Though she didn't know what secret he possessed or how he knew with such clarity, if she were to bet with him, she was almost certain to lose. Gu Jing yearned for Yang Lei to call her Jingjia. How could she possibly agree to such a wager? How many spirit stones did you find in the end? Show us, don't be so slow. Seeing her refusal, Yang Lei merely smiled and presented the spirit stones he had collected to the two girls. There were 13,200 spirit stones from this haul, which, when added to the 32,615 he had previously acquired, totaled an astounding 45,815 spirit stones. This sheer quantity was absolutely astonishing, solidifying Yang Lei's unassailable position as the top collector. Freak! How can there be so many? Gu Jing couldn't help but mutter. Yang Dage is truly incredible. He actually has over 40,000. Yang Qing Shui exclaimed in surprise. This time, in the second round of selection, first place undoubtedly belongs to Yang Dage and no one else. Naturally. Yang Lei struck a handsome pose and declared, what kind of person do you take your Yang Dage to be? Nonsense. Gu Jing snapped. Qing Shui, why are you calling him Yang Dage? He's not even as old as you. From now on, call him Didi, not Yang Dage. Yang Dage saved my life, and his cultivation is higher than mine. He has always helped me. It is only right that I call him Yang Dage. In my heart, Yang Dage will always be Yang Dage. Yang Qing Shui said, with a slight trace of shyness, but her voice was firm. Hearing this, Gu Jing could only sigh in helplessness and remain silent. Yang Lei said, all right, let's go. Time to search for the next treasure trove. The three traveled for another hour until the sky darkened, marking the end of their first day. They found a relatively quiet spot and set up 2 tents. Just as Yang Lei was about to go hunting, he felt a faint stir from Xiao Lang in his left hand. Simultaneously, Xiao Lang's voice echoed in his mind. It turned out Xiao Lang had awakened. Previously, Yang Lei had fed Xiao Lang a demon core, causing it to enter a state of evolution. There had been no news from it for days, but now it seemed Xiao Lang had successfully completed its evolution. However, to Yang Lei's surprise, he found himself unable to release Xiao Lang. He pondered, realizing it was likely a spatial restriction. If cultivators were allowed to rely on powerful spirit beasts, it wouldn't truly reflect their own strength. Thus, the space must have imposed such a limitation. Originally, Yang Lei had intended to release Xiao Lang and let it hunt, but it seemed that wouldn't be possible now. He would have to do it himself, a situation he couldn't change. After a moment's thought, he took out several jade stones and set up an illusion formation around their camp. He motioned for the two girls to stay inside and not wander off. Gu Jing, being knowledgeable in such matters, watched Yang Lei setting up the formation and was greatly surprised. She hadn't expected him to possess knowledge of formations. Although it was a simple illusion formation, it was evident that Yang Lei's skill in formation arrangement was far beyond that of an ordinary formation master. His proficiency was undeniable, and the standard of his formation setup was absolutely top-notch. Though it was dark night, under Yang Lei's true eagle eyes, it was essentially like broad daylight, with everything seen in perfect clarity. In less than a few minutes, Yang Lei had already hunted down several plump rabbits, enough for their meal. But he had barely taken a few steps before he was greatly startled. Bats. It was bats. A whole swarm of them, each one with a massive head and incredibly ferocious. He cast an identification skill. Corrosive venom blood-sucking bat, grade 4 flying magical beast, gregarious creature. Those bitten will be poisoned, suffering incessant bleeding, and their wounds will be extremely difficult to close. Extremely troublesome to deal with. This swarm of bats numbered in the thousands, an enormous quantity. If such a swarm were to surge, it would be extremely troublesome. Under the observation of his true eagle eyes, he saw a colossal bull in the distance, a 7th-grade magical beast, instantly reduced to white bones by the bats, a truly horrifying sight. Witnessing this scene, Yang Lei couldn't help but draw a sharp breath. This was simply monstrous. That bull, a 7th-grade magical beast, possessed incredibly thick hide and flesh, even a common spirit sword might not be able to harm it in the slightest. Yet these bats had instantly shredded its defenses, draining it into a pile of white bones. Yang Lei clearly understood the formidable power of these creatures. Therefore, he immediately unfurled his wings and flew at full speed towards the formation he had just set up, giving it his all. Still, Yang Lei sensed that he had become their target and they were already in pursuit. Although their speed wasn't as great as his, the campsite wasn't far. As soon as he reached it, the bats would undoubtedly arrive shortly thereafter. This much was certain. Fortunately, he had set up a formation beforehand, otherwise, things would be truly troublesome. Once he was inside the formation, he could naturally deal with them. A minute later, Yang Lei plunged into the heart of the formation. He then let out a soft breath of relief. What's wrong? Why is your head covered in sweat? Did you encounter some powerful magical beast? Gu Jing asked, seeing Yang Lei's disheveled state. Not a powerful magical beast, merely 4th grade, Yang Lei replied. But their numbers are immense, making them incredibly troublesome. Equals 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 Chapter 169, Poisonous Decaying Bloodsucking Bats. 2. Gu Jing couldn't help but curl her lips upon hearing this. Only a 4th-grade demonic beast, why are you in such a sorry state? A 4th-grade demonic beast shouldn't be able to do anything to you, right? Ordinary 4th-grade demonic beasts are naturally nothing to worry about, but these aren't ordinary 4th-grade demonic beasts. Look, they're here. Yang Lei pointed towards the sky. In the two girls' eyes, countless green lights gleamed, densely packed and terrifying beyond compare. What kind of demonic beast is this? Yang Qing asked, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know either. Gu Jing's eyes widened slightly as well. These demonic beasts, each soaring through the sky in such dense numbers, how could the two girls not feel fear? Yang Lei, little brother Lei, what kind of demonic beasts are those? You, quickly think of a solution. What are we going to do? These are poisonous decaying blood-sucking bats. Yang Lei said. Poisonous decaying blood-sucking bats? Are you sure they're poisonous decaying blood-sucking bats? Gu Jing's eyes suddenly widened as she grabbed Yang Lei's arm and asked. Yang Lei nodded lightly, yes, I'm sure. 100% sure. It's over, this time it's truly over. These poisonous decaying blood-sucking bats are the most twisted creatures. Even a martial saint couldn't do anything to them. Our protective chi shields are completely useless against them. Why are such abnormal creatures here, and why did we have to encounter them? Gu Jing slowly released his arm, muttering to herself. Jing girl, it's not as bad as you imagine. I have a way to deal with these beasts. Yang Lei patted her shoulder and said. Have a way? What way? Unless your cultivation reaches the martial god realm, there's absolutely no way to deal with so many poisonous decaying blood-sucking bats. Gu Jing shook her head, utterly disbelieving Yang Lei's words. Even if you bring out the true spirit talisman my grandfather gave you, it won't be able to deal with them. This time I'm going back to report him. I'll make Grandpa deal with Elder Tianyi. How disgusting, he clearly released the poisonous decaying blood-sucking bats to deal with us. Humph, he's dead, he's absolutely dead. He's infuriating me to death. Poor Elder Tiani had no idea at this moment that Gu Jing had already sworn vengeance against him. Sister Jing, are these poisonous decaying blood-sucking bats really that formidable? Hearing Gu Jing's words, Yang Qingshui's face also turned pale. Of course they're formidable. Without a martial god making a move, we only have death awaiting us. Gu Jing said. Silence. Yang Lei suddenly roared, and the two girls looked at him in surprise. Seeing both girls staring at him, Yang Lei couldn't help but let out a slight breath. With the swarm of bats drawing near, Yang Lei knew this was a critical moment. Although the defensive formation could hold them back, it absolutely wouldn't last more than 5 minutes. All of you, cover your ears. What's the point of covering our ears? Can that deal with these bats? Why so much nonsense? Just cover them as I told you. Use your chi to block them, otherwise, you'll suffer the consequences. The only method now was to use the lion's roar skill against these bats. The reason Yang Lei hadn't used it before was because he wasn't far from here, and if he unleashed his full power, it would inevitably affect the two girls. Considering their safety, Yang Lei hadn't used the lion's roar skill then. Instead, he wanted to return and have them block their ears with their chi first, thus preventing them from being accidentally injured by him. Seeing Yang Lei's determination, the two girls could only cover their ears. Moreover, this was their only chance. If they didn't trust him, they had no other solution. At this moment, Yang Lei took a deep breath, focusing his chi and his dantian. Lion's roar. 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 Today, Yang Lei's cultivation had already reached the 4th stage martial emperor realm, the mid-stage martial emperor realm. Back then, when he was merely a martial king, the lion's roar he unleashed possessed boundless power. Now, having entered the martial emperor realm, with his cultivation increased several-fold, the might of his lion's roar had naturally also increased several-fold. With this roaring shout, visible sound waves formed a gigantic roaring lion's head before Yang Lei. The poisonous decaying blood-sucking bats immediately plummeted, falling like rain. Trees all around were shattered by the shockwave. Even with the two girls using their chi to protect their ears, expressions of pain still appeared on their faces, showing just how terrifying the power of that mighty roar was. However, this single lion's roar consumed an immense amount of chi. It lasted merely 10 seconds, yet it depleted 2/3 of Yang Lei's chi energy. Ding! Congratulations to player for killing a 4th-grade poisonous decaying blood-sucking bat. EXP plus 1000, chi energy plus 10, system points plus 10. Ding! Congratulations to player for killing a 4th-grade poisonous decaying blood-sucking bat. EXP plus 1000, chi energy plus 10, system points plus 10. Ding! Congratulations to player for killing a 4th-grade poisonous decaying blood-sucking bat. EXP plus 1000, chi energy plus 10, system points plus 10. Following this was a series of system prompts. Yang Lei took out a rejuvenation pill, consumed it, then activated his true sight eagle eye, discovering that there were no more bats ahead. He let out a sigh of relief. These bats were too low level, the EXP they granted was truly too little. Looking at the accumulated system points, he had gained almost 50,000, meaning he had annihilated over 5,000 bats in this place. Today, Yang Lei's system points had reached over 3,170,000. According to his conjectures, once his system points reached 10 million, the system should upgrade again. Therefore, before that, Yang Lei had no intention of spending his system points, unless there was an urgent need to exchange them for something. Oh, there's still one bat left. No, that's the Bat King, a poisonous decaying blood-sucking Bat King. Appraisal skill. Poisonous decaying blood-sucking Bat King, 6th grade. At this point, the poisonous decaying blood-sucking Bat King was already at the end of its rope. Its survival surprised Yang Lei immensely, but even if it hadn't died, it had to die. Who knew if this fellow could still summon its companions? The little flying dagger was deployed once more. The flying dagger transformed into a streak of white light, instantly striking the teetering Bat King. Ding! Congratulations to player for killing a 6th grade poisonous decaying blood-sucking Bat King. EXP plus 600,000, chi energy plus 6,000, system points plus 6,000. Ding! Congratulations to player for obtaining a 6th grade demonic core. Ding! Congratulations to player for obtaining the ring of poisonous decay. Stingy, truly stingy, Yang Lei couldn't help but inwardly grumble. Previously, whenever he killed thousands of comparable demonic beasts, he would always receive special rewards. But this time, the system had clearly given no such reward, leaving Yang Lei feeling a bit dejected. Equals 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 Chapter 170. Kill them, kill them. Just as Yang Lei muttered incessantly to himself, the system's notification chimed again. Ding. Because the player has slain 5,000 poison blood-sucking bats, you have acquired the challenge quest card, Poison Blood-Sucking Bats. A challenge quest card for poison blood-sucking bats. Another challenge quest card. Yang Lei was overjoyed, a surge of excitement coursing through him. He checked its attributes. Challenge quest card, Poison Blood-Sucking Bats, difficulty, A rank. Challenge requirement, slay 10,000 poison blood-sucking bats within 10 minutes. Challenge reward, 1 level up card, 1 million cultivation points. Quest failure, level decreased by 2 ranks, 1.5 million cultivation points deducted. 10,000 bats. And they're all 6th rank poison blood-sucking bats. Yang Lei was puzzled, weren't these poison blood-sucking bats only 4th rank? He looked again and realized that all demonic beasts entering this area had their attributes and ranks weakened, with different beasts experiencing different degrees of weakening. Previously, the Black Flame Tiger Lion beast was originally an 8th rank demonic beast, but it was reduced to 7th rank. As for these poison blood-sucking bats, because there were too many and they were too difficult to deal with, they were reduced to 4th rank. But 10,000 6th rank poison blood-sucking bats were still a headache. His Lion's Roar skill could only stun 6th rank bats at best. It would be extremely troublesome. 10,000 bats, how long would it take him to kill them all? There might even be 7th rank, or even 8th rank bat kings among them. Therefore, attempting this challenge now would be utterly irrational. He would have to wait until his strength increased before undertaking this quest. However, what truly surprised Yang Lei was the challenge reward, 1 million cultivation points, which was certainly exciting. But what truly astonished Yang Lei was that level up card. Level up card allows the chosen target's rank to ascend by 1 level. The target can only be the player themselves, an item carried by the player, or a skill possessed by the player. This is heaven-defying. This is absolutely a god-tier artifact, a perverse cheat to break through otherwise insurmountable bottlenecks. If he were to wait until his cultivation reached the great perfection of the martial god stage before using it. Just as he thought this, he checked it and found that the level-up card could only increase ranks below the martial god realm, and weapons could only be upgraded below the heaven rank. So, it could allow him to break through from the great perfection of martial saint to martial god, but it couldn't be used once he was already in the martial god realm. The same applied to all types of weapons. But even so, it was still heaven-defying. Therefore, this quest absolutely had to be completed, and its reward obtained. Of course, the penalty for failure, a 2-rank decrease in level, made Yang Lei's heart ache slightly. Once he lost 2 ranks, it wouldn't be easy to regain them. However, the quest reward was simply too alluring. If he reached the great perfection of the martial saint realm, the experience points required to break through to the martial god bottleneck would be vastly more than the 2 ranks of experience points he'd lose now. After examining the attributes of the level-up card, Yang Lei shifted his attention to another reward for slaying the poison blood-sucking bat king, the Ring of Poison Shadows. The Ring of Poison Shadows was a first-grade Earth-rank artifact. Its active skill was to restore vital energy and blood, and it also granted 3 chances to release 2,000 4th-rank poison blood-sucking bats to engage enemies. That was a powerful weapon. Facing a martial emperor, this would definitely pose no problem. Of course, if the opponent possessed area of effect skills, they might be able to counter this move. However, mere 4th-rank poison blood-sucking bats wouldn't be enough to kill a martial saint. But that was only if he relied solely on the bats. With his own assistance, there would be a chance. This harvest was quite good. You actually dealt with all those poison blood-sucking bats? Gu Jing recovered her wits, rubbing her eyes in disbelief. The green glowing eyes that had filled the night had long since vanished. Yang Lei nodded and said, "Of course it's true. I told you I could take care of these beasts. However, I should have mentioned that these poison blood-sucking bats are merely 4th-rank demonic beasts. Compared to true poison blood-sucking bats, they are significantly weaker. If they were true poison blood-sucking bats, they'd be 6th rank. If we had faced the actual species, we would have truly struggled. So these were only fourth-rank poisoned blood-sucking bats, huh? Gu Jing exclaimed. But even as fourth rank, they were terrifying. If it weren't for you, we too would likely have become mere white bones. Yang Qingshui looked at Yang Lei with adoration. Brother Yang, you're truly amazing. It was nothing much, Yang Lei chuckled, a hint of self-satisfaction in his demeanor. Let's find another place. I feel that this spot is a bit strange. What if more bats come again? As she spoke, Gu Jing shivered. Yang Qingshui, also a little worried, chimed in, Brother Yang, should we change our location? Seeing the two women like this, Yang Lei nodded gently. Alright then, let's find another place to set up camp. They packed up their tents. After walking for over an hour, they stopped beside a small stream. What do you two think of this place? Aided by the lamplight, it was clear that this spot was quite good. Yang Lei used his true hawk eye to scan the area and found no dangers, so he decided to set up camp there. The two women nodded in agreement. After about 10 minutes of effort, they had set up their tents again. Then, Yang Lei began preparing dinner, roasted rabbit. Yang Lei was already very familiar with this task. Moreover, with the aid of the cooking skill system, his culinary prowess was even higher than before. The two women ate joyfully, their bellies growing rounder, yet they remained unsatisfied. For 3 consecutive days, the three of them had collected over 200,000 spirit stones. Yang Lei alone had nearly 110,000, while the two women combined had over 100,000. Along the way, they also encountered several attempts at robbery, but Yang Lei ruthlessly kicked them all out of the game. This was the 5th day, with 5 days remaining until the end. Yang Lei consistently held the top spot on the leaderboard. There are so many people over there, Yang Qingshui looked into the distance, where a group of people was resting. Let's go take a look. Gu Jing was someone who enjoyed excitement and couldn't sit still. Originally, Yang Lei didn't want any trouble, but before he could say anything, Gu Jing had already started walking towards them. Yang Lei reluctantly followed. Equals 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 Chapter 171. The ambushing squad. Oh, look, a girl has arrived, and quite a looker at that. Hearing the voice, Ko Tin's face immediately darkened. This scoundrel actually dared to set his sights on her. At this moment, Yang Lei and Yang Tanshui also rushed over. And there's another one, not bad at all. There's even a pretty boy among them, third brother loves those the most. Never mind the others for now. Yang Lei was even more furious, immediately sentencing this group to death. You court death. Oh, this pretty boy has quite a temper. My third brother loves that the most. Scarface appraised Yang Lei, rubbing his hands together as he spoke. Yang Lei exploded in rage, completely provoked. His little flying dagger shot out, showing no mercy whatsoever. Whoosh! A streak of white light flashed, and Scarface's voice immediately caught in his throat. Ding! Congratulations, player, for slaying a first-stage martial keen practitioner. EXP plus 50,000, Chi cultivation value plus 500, accumulation points plus 500. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining 10,000 spirit stones. Yang Lei was surprised. This fellow actually possessed so many spirit stones, he'd only obtained 10,000, which meant this guy originally had 20,000. However, the regrettable thing was that killing here, since it wasn't a true death, only yielded half the EXP. You actually killed third brother. The leader stared at Yang Lei, his voice stammering slightly. That strike was too fast, he hadn't clearly seen how Yang Lei had moved, only witnessing a streak of white light flash past before Scarface, their third brother, was dead. The speed was terrifying, leaving no time to react. From this alone, one could see how dreadful this person's cultivation truly was. Their entire group might not even be enough for him to butcher. Killing him was a mercy. None of you look like good people either, how about you go join him? Yang Lei scoffed. Ko Tin and Yang Tanshui immediately understood Yang Lei's meaning, both unsheathing their weapons. You want to kill us? Have you thought this through? Hearing this, the leader knew Yang Lei wouldn't let them off. He waved a hand, signaling his subordinates to surround the trio. Immediately, a group of people encircled Yang Lei, Ko Tin, and Yang Tanxue. A futile struggle before death, Yang Lei snorted coldly. He didn't even put these people in his eyes. Even their strongest, the leader, was merely a 7th-stage martial king. He was still far from a match. Ko Tin, Tanxue, you two take care of those small fries. These two fellows are mine. Second brother, let's go. The leader took an item from his bosom. But Yang Lei's eyes widened. A Zhuge repeating crossbow. It was truly a Zhuge repeating crossbow. This weapon, invented by the Grandmaster of Artifact Forging, Zhuge Wendian, possessed immeasurable power and was a 6th-grade Earth-tier artifact. Only 10 such items had ever been forged in the past, and their whereabouts had long been unknown. He never imagined this person would actually possess one. A Zhuge repeating crossbow. I never thought you'd actually possess one. Humph, thinking of running away? Humph, it's too late now. I've decided to tear you limb from limb. You actually dared to threaten me, your old man. I, Zhuge Baotao, have never been threatened by anyone before. Holding the Zhuge repeating crossbow in his hand, he laughed maniacally at Yang Lei as he spoke. Go die for this old man. As for these two beauties, I'll make sure to take good care of them for you. Having said his piece, he activated the Zhuge repeating crossbow. Several powerful golden arrows immediately shot towards Yang Lei. Their speed was exceptional, though perhaps a hair slower than Yang Lei's flying dagger. They were certainly not far behind. Danger! Dodge quickly! Ko Tin's heart leaped into her throat. Yang Tanxue resolutely covered her eyes, not daring to look at Yang Lei's fate. Though words were slow, events unfolded rapidly. Yang Lei sensed an extreme killing intent. The arrows from the Zhuge repeating crossbow were absolutely not something he could block. That was a top-tier killing artifact. And at this critical moment, a flash of inspiration struck Yang Lei's mind. He still possessed a life-saving ultimate technique. Instantaneous thousandly. Escape. Yang Lei's figure immediately vanished, while the Zhuge repeating crossbow's arrows harmlessly struck the ground. Bang, bang, bang. A series of loud explosions rang out, dust billowed in all directions, and shattered rock fragments flew everywhere. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The leader laughed wildly, saying, You actually dared to threaten me. I want you dead, you must die. Because Yang Lei's speed was truly too great, he hadn't clearly seen Yang Lei vanish, and his crossbow bolts had completely missed their target. Useless trash, you're celebrating far too early. Yang Lei immediately appeared behind him, a long saber resting against his neck. I'm right behind you. The leader was instantly terrified. Impossible. Impossible. How could you be behind me? Absolutely impossible. You're a fake. It must be a fake. Agitated, his body swayed, and instantly, his neck was slit, a gush of blood erupting forth. What do you mean, impossible? With your level, the Zhuge repeating crossbow in your hands is a complete waste. Yang Lei, without hesitation, snatched the Zhuge repeating crossbow from his hand, taking possession of it. TSK, not bad at all. I never imagined you, this petty thief, would actually possess such good things. Even a Zhuge repeating crossbow. Truly not bad. This time I've certainly profited. And now, you may die for me. No. No. You can't kill me. You can't. If you kill me, the Zhuge family will never let you get away with it. Zhuge Baotao cried out. Can't kill you? What if I do? Just wait outside, I'll be waiting for you to seek your revenge. You'll regret this. I will definitely kill you outside, hack your body into 10,000 pieces, and grind your bones to dust. Enough prattling. Die for me. Yang Lei gave a cold laugh, the saber in his hand showing no mercy. With a light application of force, a head immediately rolled, blood spurting everywhere like a gushing mountain spring. Ding. Congratulations, player, for slaying Zhuge Baotao. EXP plus 350,000, Chi cultivation value plus 3,500, accumulation points plus 3,500. Ding. Congratulations, player, for obtaining the Zhuge repeating crossbow schematics. Ding. Congratulations, player, for obtaining 18,000 spirit stones. Zhuge repeating crossbow manufacturing schematics. Yang Lei was stunned. He never thought he would actually obtain the blueprints for forging a Zhuge repeating crossbow. This was truly a massive windfall. The Zhuge repeating crossbow was so formidable, if he could mass-produce them, he could create an incredibly powerful army. However, Yang Lei also clearly understood that this was merely wishful thinking. If the Zhuge repeating crossbow were truly so easy to manufacture, then Zhuge Wendian wouldn't have only created 10 of them in the past. Chapter 172, Ancient Tree Shrouding the Sky. 1. You actually killed Zhuge Baodao. You're dead for sure. You're dead for sure. He will definitely not let you off. At this moment, the second brother's hands trembled as he pointed at Yang Lei. He was your eldest brother, and now he's dead. You might as well join him. Yang Lei said coldly. No, don't kill me, don't kill me. I can give you anything. All my spirit stones, I'll give them all to you. Just don't kill me. Seeing that Yang Lei genuinely intended to strike, the second brother was utterly terrified. Better a dog's life than a hero's death, though this wasn't true death, he was nonetheless filled with immense dread. Fear of death is a primal human instinct. No one in this world willingly embraces death, unless their heart has already perished, their will to live extinguished. But then, such a person could hardly be called truly alive. Originally, Yang Lei had intended to finish him off. However, upon reconsideration, sparing his life once might not be entirely out of the question. If he were to let these people go, while Zhuge Baodao had been killed by him, then once they left this place, the Zhuge clan would surely suspect these survivors. Thus, this wasn't necessarily a bad outcome. Sparing you is possible, but what? As long as you spare me, I can give you anything. Everything I have, it's all yours. Seeing that there was still a sliver of hope for survival, Zhuge Bowen quickly asked. The second brother, Zhuge Bowen, was the son of elder Zhuge Peng, while Zhuge Baodao was the son of the clan head. The disparity between their statuses was immense. Yang Lei shook his head and said, as for spirit stones, you don't need to give me all of them. Half will suffice. Really? You're not trying to deceive me, are you? Zhuge Bowen stared at Yang Lei with an expression of disbelief. Believe it or not. If you don't believe me, I can just kill you and take your spirit stones. Of course, if you insist on giving me all your spirit stones, I have no objections either, Yang Lei said, seeing his clear skepticism. I believe. I'll give them to you, right now. Fearing Yang Lei might change his mind, Zhuge Bowen hastily divided his collected spirit stones, giving half to Yang Lei. It clearly amounted to over 10,000. Not bad. I didn't expect you to have so many spirit stones. Right, now tell the others to hand over half of their spirit stones too, and I will spare all of you. The remaining individuals, seeing their eldest brother slain and their second brother surrendering, how could they still harbor any thoughts of resistance? They promptly handed over their spirit stones, their movements swift. After letting them go, Gu Jing looked at Yang Lei with some dissatisfaction and said, why did you let them all go? Sparing them, of course, I have my reasons, Yang Lei said, looking at Gu Jing and Yang Qingshui, then asked in return, think about it, their eldest brother and third brother were both killed by me, but their second brother and a group of underlings were left alive. Once they leave this place, what will the Zhuge clan think of the eldest and third brother's demise? Ah. I understand. You want them to fight among themselves. You truly are devious. Gu Jing said, suddenly enlightened. Yang Lei felt a headache coming on. Devious, very devious, how do such descriptions always manage to fall upon his head from her mouth? He hadn't even done anything devious to her, he was still an innocent youth. If anyone was devious, it was her to him, Yang Lei secretly mused to himself. Big brother Yang is truly clever, but Yang Qingshui said with a sweet smile. Yang Lei always thoroughly enjoyed what Yang Qingshui said, and he glanced at her before saying, all right, let's see what kind of harvest we've reaped. How many spirit stones did we get this time? Quick, let me see. As soon as Gu Jing heard anything about spirit stones, she became excited, and eagerly crowded around. The harvest isn't small. Yang Lei calculated, discovering almost 80,000 spirit stones. In other words, these fellows collectively possessed over 100,000 spirit stones. Yang Lei knew perfectly well that these types wouldn't earnestly search for them. Moreover, even if they had genuinely put effort into searching, they wouldn't have acquired so many spirit stones. This meant that these spirit stones were very likely plundered from others. How many spirit stones? Seeing Yang Lei raise his head, Gu Jing quickly asked. A total of 76,200 pieces. That many? Gu Jing and Yang Qingshui couldn't help but gasp in astonishment upon hearing this. With so many spirit stones, entering the top 100 ranking would absolutely not be a problem. Let's divide these spirit stones equally among us. Yang Lei didn't dwell on this issue. Indeed, when Yang Lei saw how many spirit stones they possessed, he too had been greatly surprised. I won't take any, big brother Yang, I won't take any. You and sister Jing can split them. At this, Yang Qingshui shook her head and said. How can that be? Gu Jing quickly interjected upon hearing this. Are you foolish? These are points that determine whether one can enter the Xuanji sect or not. Besides, little brother Lei has so many spirit stones, would he really miss a small portion? Yang Lei also added, Qingshui, these spirit stones are actually nothing much. If we're together, you must take your share. Otherwise, it would mean you don't acknowledge me as your big brother Yang. Since Yang Lei had put it that way, Yang Qingshui naturally had no way to refuse. 76,200, divided into 3 parts, meant each person received 25,400 pieces. Adding these 25,400 pieces to his existing collection, Yang Lei's total spirit stones now reached 130,000. The two girls also had no small amount. Gu Jing possessed 100,000, and Yang Qingshui also had a considerable sum, around 90,000. The 3 of them had already left everyone else far behind. At this moment, the 4 elders, including Elder Channy, were all utterly flabbergasted. It had only been 5 days, yet they had already accumulated over 100,000 points. This was unprecedented in history. Even the highest historical record hadn't surpassed 100,000 within 5 days, and that record was only achieved through a continuous spree of interception, killing, and plunder. Li Yan looked at the 4 and said, Elder Channy, it seems to me that young lad must know where the spirit stones are hidden. Every one of their actions seems purposeful, specifically choosing the most resource-rich locations for spirit stones. Channy rolled his eyes and said, Nonsense. Do I need you to tell me that? That young lad certainly has many secrets, the beautiful Lady Duanrong, who was standing nearby, remarked. He may have many secrets, but they are not for you to delve into. Otherwise, you will only invite disaster upon yourselves. Channy quickly admonished them upon hearing this. Joking aside, this person is under the special protection of Elder Zhang Yi, a person he specifically vouches for. If anyone dares to harm him, they are truly seeking death. Elder Zhang Yi, despite having no disciples in the Xuanji sect, holds an extremely high status and possesses formidable cultivation. Aside from individuals like Elder Gu, no one is his match. Equals 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 Chapter 173, The Sky-Shrouding Ancient Tree. 2. Moreover, his most formidable skill was his puppet mastery. Several martial god-level puppets, if unleashed in a siege, could effortlessly deal with 4 individuals, as easily as slicing melons and dicing vegetables. I naturally know this, Elder Channy, you may rest assured. I, Duanrong, am not so ignorant of the world's depths. However, if I could form a Dao companion bond with him. Duanrong lost herself in a fantasy. But one had to admit, she was indeed quite alluring. Her figure was voluptuous, and she exuded the elegant, noble aura of a mature woman. Li Yan, who was standing nearby, heard her words and spoke with a hint of sourness. You're already this old, would he even take a liking to you? Li Yan, what did you say? Duanrong glared, her tone filled with indignation. Li Yan had always harbored feelings for Duanrong, wishing to form a Dao companion bond with her. However, for some reason, Duanrong utterly disregarded him. Her standards were exceptionally high, many pursued her, but she found fault with all of them. Among them, Li Yan was the most persistent pursuer and the only one who could even exchange a few words with Duanrong. Alright, you two, stop bickering. However, if Duanrong truly could become Yang Lei's Dao companion, that would indeed be a blessing for her. Elder Channy intervened to mediate. Elder Tanny, as an elder of the sect, was of a much higher rank than them, and moreover, their direct superior. Though usually amicable and approachable, when he did get angry, it was truly terrifying. The seventh day. Yang Lei and the two others continued their journey forward, traveling all the way along the water's edge. What a massive tree! A sky-shrouding ancient tree. This is what a true sky-shrouding ancient tree looks like. Yang Lei gazed at the gigantic ancient tree, immediately struck with awe. Its colossal trunk, from afar, resembled an immense pillar, standing upright between heaven and earth, towering into the clouds. It was so tall and wide that he couldn't even clearly discern its full extent. Yang Lei activated his true sight eagle eye and was astonished to discover a massive quantity of spirit stones hidden within the colossal tree. It's over there. Let's go. Yang Lei pointed to the sky-shrouding ancient tree not far away. On the tree, there are many, perhaps around 300,000 pieces. 300,000 pieces, on that tree? Gu Jing looked at Yang Lei and asked, "You're not mistaken, are you? How could they be on the tree?" Yang Lei smiled, offering no explanation. "We'll know once we get there." The three of them arrived before the ancient tree. Getting closer, the sight was even more astounding. The ancient tree had a diameter of over 10 meters. Looking at its trunk up close, it was essentially a towering wall. Yang Qingshui and Gu Jing searched everywhere but found no spirit stones. Gu Jing even boasted as she used her weapon to climb onto the branches, meticulously searching everywhere, yet still saw no trace of any spirit stones. Gu Jing descended to the ground, looking at Yang Lei with palpable annoyance. "Little Lei, my dear brother, you're not playing a trick on us, are you? There are clearly no spirit stones here." Yang Qingshui also looked doubtful. "Brother Yang," she chimed in, "how could there be spirit stones on this tree? You must be mistaken, Brother Yang, mustn't you?" But Yang Lei disagreed, his face still radiating confidence. "Have I ever lied to you? Have my words ever been misleading?" The two women shook their heads. Yang Lei had indeed never lied to them. Every time he said there were spirit stones somewhere, there definitely were. "Then it's certainly true. If I say there are spirit stones here, then spirit stones definitely exist here. It's just that you two were too impatient. I hadn't even finished speaking, and you already acted." "Then where are they?" 300,000 spirit stones, that's no small number. Although this ancient tree is immense, I don't believe it could hide so many spirit stones on its surface. Gu Jing added, for indeed, 300,000 spirit stones would not be a trifling pile. Yang Lei tapped the trunk of the great tree and said, "I didn't say they were on the outside, did I? Do you really think that a great tree like this couldn't hide anything inside? Let alone 300,000 spirit stones, even 3 million or 30 million wouldn't be an issue." "You mean inside this great tree? How is that possible?" Gu Jing truly hadn't considered such a possibility. The great tree could indeed hide so many spirit stones, but how could spirit stones grow within its trunk? On this point, Gu Jing remained unconvinced. Yang Lei chuckled and knocked on the sky-shrouding ancient tree. The resounding sound confirmed that the great tree was indeed hollow. In this world, nothing is impossible. This great tree is hollow, and within it, there are indeed so many spirit stones hidden. How do you know that? Is it merely your conjecture? Besides, even if there are spirit stones inside this ancient tree, how would we get in? Gu Jing circled the great tree, looking around, but found no entrance into its interior. "Are you planning to open a hole in the tree's trunk? That seems highly unlikely. Let me try." At this, Yang Qingshui drew her precious sword, and unleashed a streak of sword qi onto the ancient tree's trunk. Clang, the gigantic ancient tree suffered not the slightest damage, not even a single mark was left upon it. "This? How can this be?" Yang Qingshui stared blankly at the colossal ancient tree. She had used 60% of her qi, yet clearly not even a single mark appeared. How could this not shock her? "Don't try any more, it won't work. An ancient tree like this has survived for unknown thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands of years. Unless one reaches the martial saint realm, or even martial god, otherwise, it's impossible to cause it any damage. This ancient tree has already become the king of 10,000 woods, even harder than outer heaven profound iron. If you want to bore a hole through its trunk with our current strength, it's utterly impossible." "Unless?" Yang Qingshui asked, "Unless what?" Gu Jing replied, "Unless we use Grandpa's true spirit talisman." "Using a true spirit talisman? What a joke, that was absolutely out of the question. Even if there were 300,000 spirit stones here, it couldn't be used. If he had to use one true spirit talisman to exchange for these 300,000 spirit stones, then Yang Lei wouldn't even bother taking them. In Yang Lei's eyes, one true spirit talisman was far more precious than hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. Spirit stones could be found in other places, but a true spirit talisman, once used, was gone forever. Equals 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 Chapter 174. Peerless divine weapon. Therefore, even if there were truly no other way to acquire the spirit stones within, Yang Lei would not be so foolish as to use a true spirit talisman just to gain those 300,000 spirit stones. There's no need to worry about that, Yang Lei said. Even without using a true spirit talisman, we can still enter. How do we enter? Do you mean you have a way to break through this ancient tree's defenses? To carve out a hole? Gu Jing, hearing Yang Lei's words, looked at him in surprise and asked. No. Yang Lei shook his head. I don't possess the cultivation of a martial saint, so I have no way to breach this ancient tree's defenses. Then aren't you speaking in vain? Gu Jing retorted. If there's no way to break through this ancient tree's defenses, it's fundamentally impossible to enter its interior, let alone acquire the spirit stones within. Gu Jing pondered for a moment, and added, that is, if there truly are spirit stones inside. Why do you suddenly not trust me? When have I ever disappointed you all? Yang Lei said with a laugh. When I say there's a way, then there naturally is a way. Amen, I believe Brother Yang will definitely succeed, he certainly will, Yang Qingshui said. I'd like to see how you'll enter this ancient tree. Could it be that this ancient tree will open a door by itself and invite you in? Gu Jing said. Yang Lei chuckled and said, you truly hit the nail on the head with that one. This ancient tree will indeed open an entrance and invite us in. Keep on bragging then, Gu Jing pouted. I'll see how you manage to make this ancient tree open a door for us to enter. It wasn't just Gu Jing. Upon hearing these words, Yang Qingshui also lost faith, gazing at Yang Lei with full skepticism. To have an ancient tree open its own door, that was simply too unrealistic. Let me communicate with the ancient tree for a moment. After Yang Lei finished speaking, he closed his eyes, pretending to do something profound, muttering a few words under his breath, then opened his eyes. It's done, it's a success. This ancient tree has opened an entrance for us. Where? Why can't I see it? There's a limit to how much you can fool people. Humph, if you keep this up, I won't like you as a younger brother anymore. Gu Jing snorted, expressing her displeasure. Yang Lei's actions were purely playing tricks on her and Yang Qingshui. How could that be? How could I be such a person? Yang Lei said, chuckling. This entrance is beneath us. Step back a little, and I'll dig it out. Yang Lei took out a long saber. This was not his wind-hidden blade, but an ordinary long saber. After the two women retreated, he gathered enough true qi, and swung his saber forward, a terrifying blade qi striking the soil around the base of the great tree, immediately cleaving open a large pit. Witnessing the scene before them, Gu Jing and Yang Qingshui widened their eyes. There truly was an entrance. This. How did you know? Gu Jing rubbed her eyes. Though she couldn't believe it, it was truly reality. Before them, there was indeed an entrance, allowing passage into the ancient tree's interior. Yang Lei chuckled and said, let's go. As for how I knew, didn't I tell you? The ancient tree told me itself. With that, Yang Lei took the lead and stepped into the entrance. Sister Jing, let's go. Seeing Gu Jing still somewhat dazed, Yang Qingshui couldn't help but pull her in. The moment they stepped into the ancient tree's interior, Yang Lei was stunned. This was no mere hollow, it was practically a miniature palace. The spirit stones were used to pave the floor. Yang Lei's eye of truth could perceive the existence of spirit stones, but it couldn't see the actual internal structure of the ancient tree. It could only discern that there were many spirit stones within this ancient tree. Meanwhile, just as Yang Lei and the other two entered the ancient tree's domain, within the immortal Qi space, Elder Tianyi and his companions, who were observing Yang Lei and the others, were about to go mad. Inside the Linglong Immortal Pagoda's immortal Qi, the trio's traces were nowhere to be found. How could the four not be anxious? Elder Tanny used his divine sense to search the entire immortal chi trial space several times, yet he found no trace of the three. How could they not be anxious? If anything untoward happened to the three, how would they explain it to Elder Gu? How would they explain it to Elder Zhang Yi? If other people had gone missing, it wouldn't be an issue, but of all people, it was the trio of Yang Lei, Gu Jing, and Yang Qingshui who had vanished. Elder Tian, what should we do now? Shouldn't we go tell Elder Gu? Li Yan said. No, Tanny said. Wait until I recover, then we'll search again. Perhaps they've entered another space within the immortal chi. But Elder Tanny, what if? There are no what ifs. Tanny snapped. Am I the elder, or are you the elder? Seeing that he still wanted to ramble on, Tanny couldn't help but glare and snap. Li Yan immediately fell silent. Duan Rong also secretly prayed. If the trio truly met with misfortune, the four of them would definitely face punishment. What kind of punishment, they didn't know, but it certainly wouldn't be pleasant. Only one person appeared perfectly calm, Zhou Guangjing. Outside, Elder Tanny and his three companions were beside themselves with anxiety, but inside, Yang Lei and the other two were utterly stunned by everything before them. To be able to carve out a cave abode, a palace, within this sky-reaching ancient tree, what level of cultivation must one possess? Even a martial god realm expert would find it impossible. While a martial god could break through this tree's defenses, they couldn't endure the massive consumption of chi required for such a grand project. Inside, there were not only spirit stones but also Vajra profound stones. These Vajra profound stones were the toughest minerals in the cultivation world, absolutely the strongest or for crafting artifacts. Their hardness was immense, even top-grade divine weapons couldn't damage them in the slightest. Furthermore, these Vajra profound stones were extremely difficult to melt. Even earth-vein fire wouldn't suffice. Aside from the legendary Nine Heavens profound flame, no other flame could truly melt these Vajra profound stones. Therefore, although Vajra profound stones were incredibly rare treasures and excellent materials for weapon forging, no one had been able to melt them down and forge them into weapons. However, tens of thousands of years ago, there was a person who wielded the Nine Heavens profound flame. They once used Vajra profound stones to forge a peerless divine weapon. This peerless divine weapon possessed boundless power, so great that it actually triggered a Nine Heavens profound lightning tribulation. From this, one could see just how formidable this divine weapon was.